Okay, now I'm going to start the show. This is the Oskar Quentin Show, where I debate politics with strangers on TikTok Live. If you're watching this VOD after the fact, you can find a pinned comment that'll tell you when the calls start and the call times in the description if I got to them. Takes me a couple days, and I am a little bit behind on clips. Hello to everybody who saw me on Dean Withers last night. Thank you for being here. The chats are already full on TikTok because I'm 5 minutes behind on the YouTube broadcast today. So let's see. Yep, we do have some new Dean viewers, so welcome to the show. I'm just going to get a couple of housekeeping items sorted out. First of all, I have been remembering lately to get my backup account. Let's see. I am live. Where's Oskar Quentin? There he is. That's me. Let's get me in the request box. Let's see. Where do we have me? There I am. I'm going to put my backup account in the corner. We're going to keep that muted for today. There we go. Did I join? Yes, I did join. Okay, so the backup account is in the corner if you want to follow that to be able to keep up with me when this account gets banned, which it eventually will for a bunch of reasons. Hello, mods. If the mods could go tell people in the Discord, and if you're in the wrong YouTube chat, if you're not seeing me in the YouTube, why am I saying this to people who can't see me? Some of the mods watching on TikTok, go tell everybody else on YouTube to get to the correct one. There is a functional stream happening on YouTube. Thanks for the patience, everybody. We do have a queue full of people, and I'm hoping it'll be an interesting show. I'm hoping we'll get some new callers because I got a little exposure from Dean last night, so we're gonna... I see one familiar username, but we're gonna skip it to a username that I don't recognize. We're gonna talk to Jinky Minus. And I'm going to hover the disconnect button because with the Dean exposure, it might be a troll. Hello.
Hey, hi, hello.
Hello, how old are you?
I'm 18.
What year were you born in?
2005, October.
2005, October. Does that make sense?
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
What?
He said he was 18. It's too early in the morning. Is the math right here? That doesn't make any sense at all. If he was born in October of 2005, he'd be 20, not 18. Anyway, we're gonna talk to the default username went away, so we're gonna talk to Thumb Man I Am, words separated by underscores, and we're gonna see if we get a debate started. Hello, how old are you?
I'm 32.
32. Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I wanted to get to your prompt, if that's fine.
Sure.
So you're sitting here saying that Donald Trump's unpopular. I would argue different, and not only that, all these polls that say he is unpopular, I would argue the fact that you can't poll Donald Trump. They found this out during 2 elections. I mean, every single poll that came out was completely wrong. They were saying that Kamala Harris was going to win, that she had a lead, that she was going to win. Every single one of them was wrong.
I don't think that you understand how election predictions work. Okay,
I don't think that polls that keep on for 2 elections with Donald Trump, and especially this last election.
Hold on. So you're kind of just jumping about. You had something about polling data. You had something about the election. They thought that Kamala was going to win. I could address that. But if you just give me a mountain of stuff, like you have to pick something for us to discuss. I think that if you think the polls,
it really wasn't a mountain of stuff. I mean, if that's just a little bit too much for you, then I don't know what
I can handle all of it. I promise you that. It's just that time has this issue where it's one dimensional and we can only do one thing at once. So I am going to pick something. The thing I'm going to pick is that you said that the pollsters said that Kamala Harris was going to win. You do understand that if the pollsters think that somebody has a 55% chance of winning or something like that, that's an arbitrary number. That's not Kamala Harris's number. This is just a general principle. If all the pollsters say that the odds are 55% and the person who has the 45% chance of winning wins, that's not unusual. You understand that, right?
What's unusual is the fact that they keep on missing out.
You didn't answer my question.
And actually, that is unreasonable.
No.
That is unreasonable.
And if I can explain why it's unreasonable, please explain why.
Yes, I do think it's unreasonable. So the fact that Donald Trump won in such a crazy way, where he won every single swing state, he won the popular vote, which hasn't happened in over 20 years for a Republican candidate. So it shows the disparity between that polling. So I could understand if he barely won by the Electoral College, how that poll could be reasonable. But he won by the popular vote as well.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to explain to you. How many Republicans have won in the last 20 years?
a couple of Republicans.
Yeah,
and they've all won by the electoral
it's not a
college.
big deal for the it's not a big deal that we have an election system that's broken such that you can win the presidency while losing the popular vote.
No.
He's the first person to win in a way that doesn't take advantage of that fact in a few recent elections. But presidents in this country serve for 4 or 8 years. 20 years isn't all that long to collect data about how elections go. Furthermore, people are always impressed. People are very impressed by the fact that he won all 7 swing states, but they act as though the most likely outcome was Kamala Harris winning them all, and then the second most likely outcome was Kamala Harris winning 6 of 7 of them, and then 5 of 7 of them, but that's not how it works. The most likely outcome, according to the pollsters, was that she would win all 7 of them. The second most likely outcome was that Trump wins all 7 of them, because the disparity in the polling data versus the actual election outcomes are linked together, because we are all people who live in the same country, we're all people who watch the same news, all these things are connected to each other. Once you see one swing state called, the safe bet is to assume that every other swing state is going to vote the same way, which is why when you have elections that are reasonably close that people don't think that the outcomes are certain of, all the pollsters can say that Kamala Harris has a slightly better chance, but they're not saying she's going to win 100%. They're not saying she's going to win 90%. They're saying that she's going to win 55%. So if every pollster says that, or something like that, some slightly greater than 50% chance, if all the pollsters say that and the election happens to go the other way, mathematically what the pollsters were saying is that it's almost a toss-up. So it's just not surprising that it happened to be the second most likely outcome instead of the first most likely outcome. They both represent a huge percentage of the outcomes that are possible.
Can I respond? Because you just said a lot right there, and you were getting after me because you were saying that I was throwing a mountain on you, and then you just try to throw a mountain on me.
You've given me a lot to respond to, but we could keep it one at a time. But because we're not keeping it one at a time, I have to respond to multiple things. So if you want to keep it on one thing at a time, feel free to. But I'm just not going to let you pretend as though I'm the reason that there's too many things being talked about. Try again.
You were the one that set that standard, and now you're trying to back off of it. So real quick, the thing that you just said was probably the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. So the pollsters either gave one or two options. Either Kamala's going to win every single swing state, or second option, Donald Trump's going to win every single swing state.
I didn't say those were the only two possibilities. That's not at all what I said.
You said those were I didn't say those were the only two possibilities.
That's what you said.
Those were the two most favorable possibilities.
That's two most likely. That's correct, yes.
Okay, and then can I just finish talking without you interrupting? Because it's just showing how insecure you are about what you talk about.
If you don't misrepresent my beliefs, I won't interrupt you.
You said that those were the two most likely outcomes, right?
Correct.
Okay, so listen how stupid that is. You're either saying that it either goes this way or this way, and you're not putting anything in between that. That's the dumbest polling data that I've ever heard. The only reason you're claiming that is because they were so wrong about the data that they polled. They didn't take into account for anything that Trump's done in the past.
Okay,
they can't poll Trump.
No,
That's the main thing.
Let's address this.
You don't even let me finish.
Well, you said that I made a claim, and you're saying that it's wrong.
You don't even let me finish my point. You don't even let me finish my point.
The claim that you're saying...
Okay, dude, listen, I can't do this with you. You're so insecure.
I know
you won't
you
even
can't.
let me finish my point.
That's clear
you
to
can't
everybody.
even let me talk and show you how dumb you are. The moment I try to, you sit here and you filibuster and you start ranting and you block me out from even talking.
I'm the one filibustering. Okay.
Are you? You are absolutely filibustering. You're sitting here and your point. I didn't say that. Blah blah blah. Your claim was that you're saying that two most
Chat
likely
thinks you're a
outcomes.
ding-a-ling.
I mean, I don't care what your chat thinks, dude. Your chat's beyond irrelevant to my life, and trust me, your chat's not what America thinks. And not only that, but we know
After you run, you can collect your baby bottles in the chat.
I mean, we know that a lot of you leftists.
Thank you, Emily, for the galaxy.
And a lot of you leftists.
So once again, the claim about the two most likely outcomes being that Kamala Harris won all of the swing states or Donald Trump won all of the swing states, and then
That's like-
different splits of that being less likely outcomes that are after that. Are we going to continue with
the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
You said that's the stupidest thing that you've ever heard, and you really haven't demonstrated why that doesn't make sense.
Hey, Oscar, if I flip a coin and I have two pollsters saying it's either going to be heads or it's going to be tails, right? Like, of course somebody's going to be right, but that's the dumbest thing in the world when they're sitting here.
That's not a fair comparison to what I'm talking about. Can I get a word in edgewise?
You're so insecure.
Are you going to run? You're going to hit the run button? You don't want to talk about it?
It's not running.
You don't want to have a lesson on statistics from somebody who used to tutor people in statistics?
It's not running when you won't even let somebody talk. It's not even a fair conversation. No, you keep interrupting me as soon as I start talking. You do this all the time. Every time you start getting owned, you start doing this. This is what Dean does, Parker. Mute talk. All right, you have a good one, man.
I don't use the mute button on my show. Okay, so he ran. For everybody who's new watching, I don't use the mute button on my show. It's actually a rule. Like, I announce it if I'm going to hit the mute button, but it's very rare. The people in the chat can tell you it probably happens once or twice a week that I actually use the mute button for anything at all. Yeah, it's just one of the shticks around here. If you're enjoying the show, you can go to the link tree in the bio and support me by following me for free on the other platforms. It doesn't cost you a dime, and if you have a dime that you want to spare, you can send it to my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. I have some people to thank who did exactly that, including Amy, who was watching Dean last night when I was on, and she said, I'm listening to Dean's live right now. You are 100% crushing it. Thank you so much, Amy. I will say, 20,000 concurrent, I had a little stage fright. I'm not used to stage fright because I pull, I mean, what do we got? We got almost 600 right now on my two streams. 20,000 concurrents, quite a lot. So that, I definitely felt that. Oh my God, Chrono sent me a $20 YouTube super chat to say, I worked 17 hours and got off just in time for this live. I'm glad to finally make it to a regular one. W's in the chat for Amy and for Kronos and for Tavi, who sent me $2 on YouTube Super Chat to say, caller did not pay attention in stats. Nope, he was about to get a stat lesson, but he didn't want to fucking hear it. Now, the fact of the matter is, if you're betting on whether or not Georgia's going to be, or if you're betting on whether or not, say, Arizona is going to be red or blue, and you find out, because it gets called earlier, that Georgia has voted blue, it is sensible to switch whatever your bet is to that Arizona is going to turn blue, because they are related. However wrong the pollsters are about Georgia, there's a better chance that they're similarly wrong about Arizona than that they got it wrong in a different direction. So once you know the outcome of one of the swing states, the safe bet is that all the other swing states are going to flip that way. That happened to be the case in 2024. It doesn't always necessarily have to work out like that. It depends on exactly how close all the swing states are, because of course the actual outcome is different. The possibilities where Kamala Harris got some of them and Trump got some of them, those were there. But they were just less likely than the two most likely outcomes, which would have been one of them winning all 7 of them. The caller was not interested in addressing that. I think he knows that. I know that caller. He's kind of regular. I think he's aware that that's how that works, and he doesn't like that I was going to address it. He probably was hoping to get a host who didn't have the statistics chops to defend it. He was just going to call it stupid and run. I'm surprised he didn't call me a dingling, because that's his favorite word. I'm pretty sure that was dingling, guys. I got all the Dean trolls. W's in the chat for the Dean trolls. But the queue's empty. We've done it. We have defeated MAGA for the day, and it is 18 minutes into the show. And I spent the first 5 minutes troubleshooting on YouTube. That's it. Wrap it up, everybody. MAGA's over. Trump is so unpopular that nobody's willing to call in and defend him. Kathy says it wasn't hard. Elvis Trepp, good to see you in the chat so early. Let's see. Gene says that made my cat jump. Where's Scout? I need all the Momo fans to meet Scout. I actually have 3 cats, but only one of them likes to be on the show. The other 2 just kind of hang out. All right, I hate to be pushy to all my new fans, but if you're on TikTok, it is time to get double tapping away on the screen to get this pushed out a little bit farther on the For You page. I assume we are. 454 people watching, 35 new follows. Likely on the For You page, but keep double tapping so that as we start our conversation with Charlie, we can hopefully keep the fire burning on what I hope is going to be an exciting, busy show. Charlie, how old are you? Hello, how old are you?
Sorry, I'm 18 years old.
Okay, I'm going to believe you for now. Are you a Trump supporter? I can hear you.
I am, yeah. I also live in Minnesota.
Oh, lovely. But you are a Trump supporter? Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes, I am.
Okay, why on earth?
I'm a Trump supporter because I believe in lower taxes and a secure border.
Okay, those are some pretty boilerplate.
And a strong military.
Okay, I would argue that every U.S. president in the last 100 years has supported an enormous U.S. military, so I don't really think that that's all that relevant.
Well, I mean, he did bring the military budget to over $1 trillion now, and it was at $800 billion, so.
Okay, but you want taxes to be lower?
Yes.
Explain.
I feel like if big corporations and you tax the rich a lot less, that they will actually be paying their employees more. They'll have more money to pay their employees.
Yeah, but hold on. Yeah, I think that's fucking nonsense, and we'll get to that in a second. But specifically, I'm a little concerned about why you want the military to be $200 billion more expensive, but you want taxes to go down. Where's the $200 billion supposed to come from?
People are still getting taxed, though.
Not enough.
It's just you don't need to... Oh my God. It's just you don't need to tax, like someone that makes $1 million, $2 million a year gets 50% of their income tax.
Something like
that's
that.
absurd.
Well, the highest tax bracket is 37%, and they have a bunch of loopholes that they abuse, like,
No,
borrow, buy, and
dad
die
gets
type
taxed
things.
49% of his income every single year.
Okay. It's interesting to know that you're that privileged, probably,
and
unless your
he
dad's cut
worked
you
hard.
off. So that's good context for me.
My dad cut me off. How?
I'm saying unless your dad's cut you off, that means that you're insanely privileged. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say I'm privileged. My dad makes me work for everything. I work a job 40 hours a week, and he doesn't really buy me anything.
Okay, but he would probably rescue you if you lost both of your legs in a car accident and couldn't work.
I think anyone's parent would do that.
Yeah, but not everybody's parents could do that, and that's what privilege is. I just want to make sure that we have that
So
established
how
when we
would
get into
you-
this conversation about what's fair with money.
You call
in the country.
911, they rescue you. They don't care.
Yeah,
if you're
your
rich or
dad's not
poor.
going to sew your stumps closed. That's the doctor's job. Your dad is going to save you from the medical debt that would otherwise be crippling, in addition to the fact that you're physically crippled by the accident and unable to provide the sort of life for you that your dad seems to have, through some way, maybe perhaps luck and privilege, provided for himself. I just want to make sure I
basically-
understand you correctly as we talk about money and fairness on my show.
So basically, what you're saying is that because my dad's rich, he can sew my legs together.
No, you went to him rescuing you from the accident. I'm saying that he would rescue you from your life being ruined by the accident, and you're
Yeah, he
getting.
could, but he hasn't.
Yeah, but he would if that happened to you, and not everybody has that, which makes it a privilege. That's all I'm saying.
So if your legs got chopped off right now, you wouldn't have anyone that would help you.
My family would not be able to offer much help. No.
How old are you?
30.
So you should be able to afford that on your own then, correct?
Here's the privilege. Do you think that a 30-year-old necessarily is in a situation of their own creating if they're not able to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical debt and provide for themselves while disabled? It sounds like a privileged position to have.
So you want free medical care?
Sure do. We're moving on to other things, though.
But the thing is, that's why I want lower taxes, because
Then how are you going to pay for the bigger military that you want if you want taxes to be lowered?
people are still getting taxed, you're acting like there's going to be no taxes.
They're going to be less taxes if you get what you want, which is less taxes.
Okay, less taxes, you're still generating trillions of dollars.
Right, but it's less, and all of the money gets used. So where's the extra money for your larger military going to come from?
You know what you do with that money? You do job cuts within the government. You get a smaller government, so then you don't have to pay.
We tried that. It didn't work. It cost money. Elon Musk was a huge part of Donald Trump's campaign. He joined the government. He did a bunch of corrupt things, like taking private information from citizens and putting it in the hands of private entities that don't work for the government, namely himself and his staffers. And we saw that.
Tell me an example of that.
What was the information from the IRS? Chad, help me out. What was the big data block that Elon Musk got access to? One of the mods surely knows. But once again, that was just kind of an aside, because the actual fine. Oh wait, hold on. We have an expert who has joined the call. This is one of the cool things about running a show where you believe in facts and truth. It's that other people who believe in facts and truth are willing to come in and help you out when you don't necessarily have the expertise. Cat Dad Chat, it's nice to finally meet you. We haven't spoken in person yet. If we want to call this in person.
Hey. I just wanted to try and quickly explain something to Mr. Charlie here, too. Because when we are talking about having things like free healthcare, we understand our tax-paying dollars will be what pays for that. Here's the thing that you might not want to realize, even though I think deep down you understand it, though, Charlie. If we were to go back to like Eisenhower levels of taxation, that is how we built things such like the interstate systems. That is how we sent people to the moon. If we start just making sure that the wealthiest of the Americans got taxed at a fair level,
my friend,
guess what we could have? We could have free healthcare.
Can I say
we could make sure that every single veteran had housing. We could make sure that every single child had a free
so many good points
at that place where we already make them be. But because people like you somehow think billionaires actually like you, when they do not, you are just a tool for them. Your dad might be rich, but he is never going to be 1% rich, no matter how much you want to believe that is the case. So that's all I really had to say, because I'm in the middle of running some errands. You just had to come and drop that big L on Charlie.
Okay.
W's in the chat. In the chat. Thank you for that. And that is a point I bring up a lot. If we talk about making America great again, which is what Trump supporters want, I do always like to point out that you're gonna have to sit and listen just a little teeny tiny bit longer. You need a little bit of patience to have meaningful conversations about politics.
I just don't want to forget my topic that I just thought of.
Maybe it's a good mental exercise. You shouldn't forget something that quickly. Write it down if you need to. That's good for training your memory. Get a pen and pad, dude. Like be better. Stop being so lazy about how you're running the show. If you care about remembering something, write it down. I retired from being a high school teacher to run this show, but I still have to say things like that to people. So I just wanted to point out that if we're going to talk about making America great again, we have to add the asterisk that we're really only talking about reasonably privileged white males, because that's the only people, that's the only demographic of people for whom the country was ever really great. And Dad, sorry, I mix up the order of his name all the time. What he brought up is that the time when it was most great is when we were taxing the shit out of the wealthy. In 1950, the highest tax bracket was 90%, and we were investing that money in getting society connected. The interstates were really important to make it easier to start a business in this country, because you could have interstate travel for goods and sales and deliveries and stuff like that. Made a huge difference to the prosperity of America. And then the people who won in that system, who were successful in that system, lobbied to get rid of those tax brackets. They fooled nincompoops like yourself into thinking that lowering those tax brackets will in some way be beneficial to you. And now we're in a situation where there's a bunch of expensive shit that people want the government to do, but there isn't enough money to do it, because we're not taxing these wealthy people anyway, in the same way that we were 70 years ago. But if we were, each of them would still be eating an expensive steak for dinner, because there's no more expensive steak to buy. It doesn't affect their quality of life, but it affects your quality of life, and it affects my quality of life. That's what we're upset about.
Okay, so here's my next question. So he brought up the space race during Eisenhower with his extreme taxes, but now because of lower taxes, we have private companies that are about to have buildings on the moon and data centers on Mars, okay? And we both know that's going to happen soon because of Elon Musk.
I think that the reason that you should have written that down to get to it later is because it would have allowed you to listen to what I said. Could you give a very brief summary of exactly what I just said to you?
No, I don't listen to Yap. I just listen to myself.
This is the Oskar Quentin show, where people watch Oscar Yap.
What are your thoughts on that? So
nope, we're not moving on. I will explain to you again what me and my guest caller just explained to you, but we are not going to move on from it. In short, because you weren't listening, in short, if America was great for, reasonably privileged white men, it was during the 50s, 60s, and 70s when we were taxing the shit out of wealthy people.
Who's a race traitor?
You're calling me...
You don't like white people?
I recognize that white people in this country have had a privileged experience compared to other people.
So tell me one thing that a black person can do. I mean, one thing that a white person can do that a black person can't. Tell me one thing.
You're trying to create an absolute thing. Like the example that I like to offer is that... I'm responding. As a white person, when I get pulled over, I generally don't fear for my life, and a black person who gets pulled over generally does fear for their life. But it's not an absolute thing. You want me to say something like white people can get pulled over without getting shot, which isn't necessarily true. There's not going to be a black and white absolute thing. Systemic racism works in terms of percentage likelihoods of outcomes. How likely are you to get the job? How likely are you for the police officer to treat you fairly? Police officers do something called discretionary policing, where they might not arrest you for jaywalking because it's not reasonable.
How likely are you to rob someone or shoot someone?
I'm sorry. Are we going to talk about any of the things that I'm saying? You said that you don't listen to Yap, which makes it very confusing to me why you've called into the show. You
just started bringing up statistics and the reasons that African American people might be more afraid when they get shot is because they're 13% of the population and they commit over half of violent crimes.
Yeah, I think that that's racist. I don't think you understand statistics well enough to look at demographic data in a way that isn't racist.
Yep,
I don't think you recognize what institutionalized poverty does to demographics, because these are people who are only a few generations removed from being, like a single digit number of generations removed from their ancestors being literal slaves who didn't have any rights in this country. And because social mobility, listen, do you know what social mobility is?
I unfortunately do not know what that means.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to dog you for being ignorant of something. Social mobility is just how easy it is for a person to move classes, like get out of the middle class into the upper class, get out of poverty, move to a nicer neighborhood, that sort of thing.
America's the easiest for that.
No, it's not. That's horseshit. There's data about this, and that's
literally homeless.
That's an anecdote, and I don't give a shit what happened to your dad. I give a shit what happens to the average American. There are 350 million Americans, and there's data about this. I use that data. You use one example. Your father, who we have already covered in this call, has offered you privilege in your life. I do not care about your anecdote. I care about data and averages. And the fact of the matter is, compared to other countries that have similar prosperity to America, social mobility is difficult. And because social mobility is difficult, and a minority group in this country, African Americans, were so disadvantaged by slavery, so disadvantaged by the Reconstruction era Jim Crow laws, so disadvantaged by segregation, so disadvantaged by people like yourself just being racist, walking down the street, not giving them jobs and saying horrible things about them on the Oskar Quentin show. They're so disadvantaged by that yes, there are some statistical measures of things that happen in the black community that look bad, but it is because they are disproportionately in poverty. And I am trying to fix the fact that they are in poverty, which is the root cause of a lot of these statistical anomalies that you, as a racist, are very happy to ignore the actual root causes of?
Well, the reason that these things are happening is because, like, again, I bring up a statistic and you say it's racist. Like,
it's racist to not consider the cause for that statistic. Do you recognize what I think the cause for some of those statistics are?
Because they live in poverty. And so what about, so you bring up black people being in slavery, which was really bad, but obviously the Holocaust was over 100 times worse than slavery. And then also, how come the Jewish people are some of the most richest and most successful people in the United States? And
I'm just going to call apples to oranges on that. Are you suggesting?
Wait, please don't interrupt me. Please don't interrupt me. So Jewish people are some of the richest people in the world, and they had to deal with the Holocaust, which is actually a lot more recent than black people being in slavery. And yet black people are still very poor and have a bunch of violent crime and are like almost 80% in gangs.
Okay, let's have it. I'm going to see if you can track a hypothetical. Do you recognize that hypotheticals are important to discussion?
Yes. Kind of.
Well, it's just that we need to be able to test out our logic to make sure that we think about things as reasonable, and it gets rid of some of the feelings. Like, do you believe that facts over feelings is important?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, great. So the reason we use hypotheticals is because it allows us to get rid of the feelings. I am accusing you of having some feelings about black people. That's kind of the topic, but I just want to take black people and Jewish people out of the equation for a moment and just say, like, you're talking about something bad happening to black people, slavery. You're talking about something bad happening to Jewish people, the Holocaust. So let's say that instead of black people and Jewish people, it's you and me, and we're in a car, and there's a car accident, and we both get injured. We could say that something bad happened to both of us, right? Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
What if one of us heals from it? If one of us gets a lot of care, if one of us gets a lot of opportunity to deal with the outcome of the car accident, maybe better physical therapy, maybe a home assistant, something like that. But then one of us doesn't get physical therapy, so it's harder for us to learn how to walk. Say I'm the one who's not getting that sort of care. I'm stuck in a wheelchair because I never got good doctors to get me walking again. You with the same injuries get walking again. 10 years later, would it be fair for somebody to say, well, you guys, you both had something bad happen to you. Why is Oskar in a wheelchair not providing himself for himself, and why are you working so hard and doing all this great stuff, even though the reason that you survived or healed from the accident better wasn't because of your doing, and it was just because of some external thing like your insurance or something like that? Do you see the parallel?
That's a good point. I agree.
I'm glad you recognize that's a good point.
But the real question is, why are black people not advancing in society when almost every other race is? That's my question.
Okay, so let's make sure that we can apply that hypothetical. We're moving on.
I know
you recognize my hypothetical is good. I want to apply it to the thing that we were just talking about. You recognize that just because somebody doesn't respond well to something happening bad to them, that doesn't mean it's necessarily their fault, and it's probably not a good reason to like judge them for it and just say that they should have to live with those consequences. That's kind of the conclusion we get from the hypothetical. Would you say that's fair?
Sure.
Then why the hell are you blaming black people for having been enslaved and institutionally discriminated against in this country? But you're comparing...
Did you know how the white people got the slaves from Africa? Do you know how?
We're not moving on until you address the fact that I don't think it's a fair comparison to say that
it's not it is the black people's fault. They were sold by the African kings to the white people. Do you know every single race?
I'm sorry. Would you walk up to a person with dark skin and say that to them, that it's your fault because some person in Africa hundreds of years ago sold somebody to somebody else?
I'm saying it's the people's in Africa's fault. So and also
dead.
You do realize that
the slave trade ended hundreds of years ago. What are you talking about? We're talking about people who are here.
Okay. So were people here slaves then? Because you don't want to bring up the things hundreds of years ago, just like slavery.
They still live in the neighborhoods that they got stuck in. Statistically, on average, we're talking about institutionalized poverty because I, for example, as a white person, my family hasn't even been here that long. I was born in America, but my mother wasn't.
You're not white.
I'm white, yes, but I'm just saying that I'm like a first/second generation. I don't really care what your definition of white is, and I don't.
Jewish people aren't white, right?
Excuse me. I need you to listen. You're moving on to other things. I'm pointing out to you that I am a white person who was born in America, whose mother wasn't. My father was born in America. His parents weren't. So my little group, my little family got here after the fact, but I still got to show up and walk down the street as a white person and benefit from the fact that white people have this place of privilege in the country, and a black person who moves here from another country doesn't have that. So the fact of the matter is there are these institutionalized problems where you are less likely to get the job if you're a minority. You are less likely to be chosen as the person who's going to get the apartment if somebody leasing apartments is choosing between a white person and a black person. That's actually something Donald Trump has actually been sued for doing. Anyway, that's
and
just
honestly, that personally, like, that makes, I know so many people, like my dad leases not apartments, but he like rents out houses, and like I know a lot of other people that rents out house, and they
I do not care about the anecdotes about your dad. The fact that you think that your dad's experience so colors how experiences are for other people in the country is a thorough demonstration of your privilege.
It's a fact.
I'm not even kidding. It's funny. It's not funny at all, and I'm not interested in your anecdotes. I've explained that. Yes or no? Do you think you should trust data about averages for people in the country, or what your dad says?
I can look up the statistic of what percent of black people pay the rent versus
you
white
need to
people.
answer my question. Should you trust data about what the experience is like for the average person in America, or whatever your dad says?
Well, I've just told you I'm going to go look it up.
Which is better?
Personal. I'm just telling you my personal experience.
Which is better? The question is, which is better? Okay, the statistical one is better. You've demonstrated yourself to be racist in the call. That makes me think it's probably likely that you're... I'm not going to dignify that question by a response. Go rewatch the episode if you want, because I know you weren't listening to most of what I said. Listen back to it and listen to the words I'm saying, and you might understand that you're racist. I think that also makes it pretty likely... You're using your dad's anecdotal telling of statistics about different races instead of considering actual statistics about demographic data and some of the things that cause those statistics. I'm going to go look it up right now. Okay, that's racist to do, is why you're racist.
God, these liberals
especially in recognition of the fact that you said yourself just 60 seconds ago that the statistical data is better. And not only would I say the statistical data is better, it's like millions of times better. Your dad is one guy, one privileged guy, it sounds like. The fact that he has negative thoughts
he works for everything. He served in the military.
I don't care what he did. I don't care if he rescued a baby from a burning car if he says things to you like he did about the people who he rents to, because I do not believe for a minute that he has done a statistical does he keep a spreadsheet of exactly what race people who are delinquent on their payments are?
No, he just knows which people don't pay rent and trash his
and
buildings
that sort of conclusion,
versus the ones who don't.
Sort of conclusion, when people make them without keeping good data, is often the result of something called confirmation bias. It's entirely possible that your dad doesn't notice or care when a white person is a few days late on their payment, but that's a bigger deal to them when the black guy who lives down the hall does it. You don't have data to back that up because your dad isn't a statistician.
You can look it up right now. You can look up the stats on that. You can look it up. Do you want to look it up? And do you want me to prove my point again?
So your point keeps being something that your dad said, and you recognized earlier in the call that the statistical answers are better, and then I offered this additional step to say, which is that it is
the statistical answer versus my dad's conclusion.
Additionally to all of this, you are absolutely unwilling to recognize that there are potential causes for these data that have nothing to do with people being black. It just has to do with history.
Okay.
It's not their blackness that made them poor.
So it's really hard
slavery that made black people poor.
I don't have another computer to look up statistics. So how often do you
I don't think it would be constructive to I do debates 10 to 12 Central Time every single day, and we might be in agreement here, which I think it's probably not. The reason I don't want to put it up on the screen and show it to you is because we haven't even established that you respect the data in a way that makes sense for me to show it to you, because you just aren't going to value it.
What do you mean that I respect the data?
Because you keep bringing up what your daddy says, which is a pretty privileged white guy thing to do.
I'm trying to double check to see if I have to contradict what my dad says.
I will genuinely appreciate it if you want to go look at what, take some of the claims you've offered me on the show and find statistical data that backs them up and call back in. I'm not going to declare it, an L for you or anything. If you're unprepared and you want to come back and talk more, that's great. I encourage that, especially somebody your age.
I'm gonna do that. All right, sounds good. It was nice talking to you.
Have a good one, Charlie. If you enjoyed my conversation with Charlie, go to the link tree in my bio and do the things and all that. Oh, and Oskar Quentin 2 down here on YouTube. Click on that. That's the backup account. Get that followers. We're going to get that to 10K sooner rather than later so that I've got a backup. Let's get working on that. Do I have any donations to read? I don't think that I do. Did I miss any YouTube Super Chats? Nope. Right on to the next call. We're going to talk to Caitlin. Are the pick-me's still out? We shall see. All right. Unfortunately, it's like the two types of callers, right? That previous caller had too much self-respect, and I think if the pick-me girls don't have enough. Caitlin, how old are you? Caitlin Rand. We're going to talk to John Toomey. Boop, 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 boop.
Hello.
Hello, how old are you?
51.
51. Do you support Trump?
Absolutely not.
Oh, awesome.
And I never supported him.
Well, I appreciate that. I am just looking for somebody who does support him so we can get a debate in. People want to call in and just chit-chat 50 minutes from now at 11:30 Central Time. It's always soft, depends on how the show's going, but I do just kind of open up for friendly time or like non-Trump political debates or just whatever we really want to do. So I know there's a lot of new people watching, so if you want to hop up and say, hey, a little later on, we can do that. Sanny.
Oh, sorry. I'm not a Trump supporter either. I was just actually coming in because of the dude before when he brought up the 1450 statistic specifically, where he was where he kind of like conflated that, because usually when we get the 1450, it's actually even less of a population that commits that crime. Yeah, the black.
Oh, yeah, he's talking about African Americans representing 14% or so of the population and representing 50% of the crime. Yeah, they skew those statistics. There are certain like measures of crime and other things that are related to poverty where you can just look at the base statistic and see that it's a little bit worse. But they're always going to warp those statistics to be worse for the black people, which is a racist thing to do. Worse for the people of color generally. Worse for the minority. Worse for the women. Worse for whoever isn't their particular protected, privileged, powerful group. Ugh. So much pride. The queue's empty. I'm so lonely. Lonely. I am so lonely. I don't know. I don't remember the melody. What is that? What is that piece of music? Is that like early 2000s? Where does that come from? Anyway, I have Joseph to thank for $10 on Cash App. He says, for you, my friend. Or wait, was it $10 or was it $5? It was... Oh, wait, it was $5 yesterday. It's $10 today. He says, proud of you, brother. Keep it up. Thank you, Joseph. W's in the chat for Joseph. He's a pretty frequent contributor to the show. And I got to thank all the contributors to the show because I get to do the show full time and be on Dean Withers and shit. Crazy. W's in the chat also for the mods because people... Akon. It's Akon. Do we like Akon? I don't have an opinion about Akon. I guess that tune was in my ear. Anyway... Let's see. Where's the request queue? There it is. No guests in the queue, so I'll just say hi to everybody. Hello. My name is Oskar Quentin, if you're here from the Dean Show. I appreciate you guys hopping over. I'm very, very honored by Dean's help, because I don't know. He doesn't... I didn't expect to get that kind of bump from him when he found me, because he doesn't... I watch him enough to know that he doesn't generally do that. So it's absolutely fucking crazy. So I just hello all the Dean fans. Already broke the viewership record today because we were over 600 on TikTok and over 130 on YouTube. So broke that 700 again today. We're gonna talk to Eon Light, and we're gonna see if this is a good debate. How old are you?
How's it going? Hey, I'm 26.
26. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah, I voted for Trump. I just had a question for you.
Okay.
What do you suspect will happen when Trump is no longer president?
That depends on whether or not we seek consequences for the things that he's done while he is president. One of the reasons I think we still need to push for impeachment, even if we just get an impeachment without a conviction, is that whoever is the next Republican seat of the executive branch needs to operate knowing that there are consequences for the sort of behavior that Trump does. So even if he dies of a heart attack tomorrow, we need to change some rules. We need to get some legislation in place that protects the people from the type of misbehavior that he has been able to figure out how to do. We have learned that there are holes in our checks and balances system. It is possible for the president to convince Congress to be loyal to him instead of the Constitution, and we need to address some of that. So I don't know what it's going to be like the next time, but it really depends on how we handle what's happening right now.
Got you. Because you know how Trump is today, a very popular political figure, right? Probably mostly in the negative sense, right?
Pardon me. My brain just didn't write it down. Did you say at the beginning you are or are not a Trump supporter?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
I was just going to ask you, do you think there will be another figure like him where people will have a very strong opinion about.
Well, personally, I think that J.D. Vance lacks the charisma to inherit a dictatorship. So I'm kind of curious and interested about that generally. But I mean, that's a big question mark. I think that the work is done. I think that there's loyalty to the MAGA movement around Trump that has been accomplished. So if he dies, it really doesn't make a difference as long as people carry his flag and say that we're doing everything in his name. We're kind of past the point of no return. The charismatic leader has done his work, and I'm really worried about what the people who he put in charge are going to do with the power they've given him. Because even if people don't like the next guy in charge, the fact of the matter is that the Republicans have that power, and they're trying to do some really shady shit to make sure they maintain that power in the midterms, which is what I spend a lot of time on this show talking about.
Got it. Okay, I appreciate your outlook. Thank you so much.
Is that wait?
That's all I have.
Wait, hold on. No, that's not all you have. Why do you support Trump? Still, in spite of all those bad things I was just alluding to him doing.
Why do I support Trump? One small reason. Can you define a woman for me?
Sure. I think that there's this thing called gender, which historically has been very tied up with what a person's chromosomal sex is and what society has created as the norms and expectations regarding that particular thing, what chromosomes you have. There are people for whom their identity is not in strong alignment with what society normally associates with their chromosomes. And because not everybody lines up in that way, we use a different word than chromosomal sex to refer to that. We call that gender. There are some people who have a gender that's not in alignment with what society would expect them to have based on what their chromosomes are. A woman is somebody who identifies with the experience of those people who generally, normally, under most circumstances throughout history, have had two X chromosomes.
Got it. That was a very long-winded answer. So
It's a complicated topic.
So my response to your question is the reason I voted for Trump is because if something so simple like being able to identify a woman in a simple, logical manner cannot be done by the left, and they try to make it more complicated than what it is and falsify a false narrative, I cannot side with a party like that. That's why I voted for Trump.
What's so illogical or wrong about what I said?
There is no complication about being able to define a woman. It took you like 3-4 sentences to give me
it's a complicated question.
Definition. It's not. And that's my point I'm making.
What you're going to argue is that the simple answer is what chromosomes you have, and the fact of the matter is that is not what the words mean according to the experts. Okay, then what's your argument?
It's not the fact of the matter. My argument is a woman, a female, should be defined in what it's always been defined as.
Sorry, we weren't defining female. We were defining woman.
Oh, female, woman, same thing.
They're not the same thing. And that's the difference. That's where we disagree. For the reasons that I described, that if you think that this is a topic that you said is so important that you elected a president who has done some pretty horrible things, right? And you think that an answer to the question about it being 3 or 4 sentences is too much? I'm sorry. Do you not have the patience to engage with subject matter that is important to you?
It's not that complicated. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
You are just asserting that it isn't that complicated when everybody who studies it disagrees with you. Saying that a woman is just determined by chromosomes just isn't what the biologists say. It's not what the sociologists say. It's not what the psychologists say. It's not what anybody who studies this stuff.
But they have said that, right? They have said that, right?
You have to go far enough back into the past to find people saying that. We've updated our understanding of it and how we discuss it.
In 2013, right? When DSM-5 was updated. That's when the understanding was updated, right?
That was a recent update. We got rid of gender dysphoria in the DSM because we felt it wasn't an accurate description of what, I mean, and that's happened with lots of things that are real. So, for example, Asperger's, here's an example. We used to diagnose people with Asperger's. We no longer do that. We just put them on the spectrum with everybody else with autism spectrum disorders. That's a change in how we define, because the people who study it and work on this stuff said, hey, you know what? We think these diagnoses don't actually describe what's going on very well. We should come up with a description that better describes what's going on so we can help these people, because people with autism do generally need some help living their lives happily. So we come up with definitions that are better. So over the years, we update things from time to time. And the DSM, the psychologist, the American Psychological Association, that puts out guidelines on diagnosing these things, said, you know what? Just like we said for Asperger's, doesn't quite make sense to have gender dysphoria in this DSM, because gender isn't really a mental illness. We should kind of look at it a little bit differently. So we've updated the way that we talk about it. These are labels. These are social constructs, just like the gender thing itself. So we can talk about it within the context of those labels, but you want to go back to a time from before, when we had tools to talk about this stuff in a way that is meaningful to people who experience these issues. And I hope that you think that talking about these issues in a way that's accurate and helpful is important, because people who are trans have a really high self-unaliving rate. It's a really difficult thing to deal with in your life, this mismatch between gender and biological sex.
So can I respond? Because
we're working, just to wrap it up, we are working on coming up with a better set of tools and labels to discuss this, so that we can help these people and make sure that everybody gets their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which is what we're all about. And you're just crossing your arms and saying, nope, I want to talk about it like I'm somebody from 50 years ago. Why, dude?
So you brought up some very important points. So one, I just want to say the medical industry changes with the influence of politics. That's a fact. You can look this up. And the changing of gender dysphoria, gender identity, that has changed with the politics. Politics influence that decision in the medical industry. Second thing, social construct requires a consensus view. The consensus, the overall majority of people in this country believe that a female is tied to XX chromosomes.
I need a source for that claim.
Fact at birth.
That's a specific stat. I need a very specific source on that.
You can look this up. Google it.
It's also even if it's true, it's an argument ad populum, because, like I just said, we
That's
historically
philosophy is not the objective reality.
Listen,
it doesn't matter.
Listen. 50 years ago, people thought that people with autism did not deserve life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. If you ask the average person, you'd say that that's a cripple or some other word that I can't say on TikTok, and we wouldn't give them a fair shot. And you were saying you want it to stay that way, and people like myself are advocating for this less than 1% slice of the population who are facing some peril because of all of this, and you just don't want the progress. You don't want to find out that society was wrong about something. There was a time in this country where most people supported slavery. Was it reasonable at that time to say that slavery is the right approach?
No, I wanted to land my point. So I think everyone deserves to be taken care of. No matter what you believe, no matter what your orientation is, we're all equal, right?
I don't believe that you believe that, no.
So that's fine.
I believe that. I don't believe that you believe that.
Well, just because we disagree on something doesn't mean I don't believe that, but okay. So I think something like gender dysphoria is related to mental illness. If you feel like a man,
the doctors used to think that. In 2013 they updated it so that we don't talk about it that way anymore.
That was influence with politics.
I'm sorry.
Influence in politics.
Okay, so should I ignore every decision that gets made by doctors while a Republican is president because I don't like Republicans?
If it's based on like corruptive politics, yeah. I mean,
you do also recognize that the members of the American Psychological Association, the people who determine what's in the DSM, are an overwhelmingly liberal group, something like 99% liberal. It's not just like more than you'd expect in the population. It's an overwhelmingly liberal set of fields, the social sciences.
Okay, what's your point on that?
You're well, I guess it's in favor of your argument that it's the liberals doing it, but what I'm arguing is the correlation is the other way. It's that people who learn science end up liberal, or people who are liberal can accept that science works. So it is overwhelmingly liberal, but what I'm pointing out is that it doesn't matter who was president when it happened. Like, the politics aren't getting into the American Psychological Association. Nothing that happens in politics in America is going to make a big difference, because people who learn the social sciences are overwhelmingly liberal for other reasons.
No, I get your point. That's just one small reason why I voted for Donald Trump.
Sounds like it's a big reason to you. Why is it a big reason? Trans people are less than 1% of the population. Like, what do you want? What do you want for trans people?
I see it as evil, not focusing on mental health, letting people run with a false narrative, false definition.
What is false?
Evil in itself. The idea that you can believe you're a woman. You're a woman if you believe you're a woman.
So you just don't recognize gender as a concept at all?
I don't recognize fairy tales. A man cannot believe he's a woman and therefore be a female or a woman. We know it doesn't work that way. But yet for some reason,
you keep mixing up these terms of male and female. Nobody disputes male and female. You understand that trans people are not going from male to female. That's not what being trans is.
So what is a female and a woman? Is a woman not a female?
I asked a very specific question. Do you understand that trans people, nobody is asserting that trans people can switch their chromosomal sex from male to female or vice versa? That doesn't happen.
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure there's a small number of people who assert that incorrectly because they're super pro-trans and they're not educated on the biology. But nobody serious is saying that. No doctors are saying that. Nobody who I would allow on my panel to talk about that stuff is going to try to tell you that. That's nonsense.
Well, I don't believe gender is a social construct. So
okay, once again, can we just recognize the common ground that we agree that it would be nonsense to suggest that a male can become a female?
Okay, I get what you're saying, but I don't understand how that is.
Do you recognize that we both agree about? We agree that you cannot turn from male to female.
Yeah,
do you agree that we agree about that?
But isn't that what the woke left is arguing for?
No,
that's my point. So what are they arguing for? Enlighten.
We're arguing that the labels man and woman usually line up with the chromosomal sex. In like 99% of cases that they are the same thing. I'm a cis man. For me, they feel like very much the same thing. I can't really relate with somebody who looks down and says, I don't want that there. Because I look down and I go, thank goodness it looks like that. That's great. I'm happy with that. I like the equipment I got. I'm very privileged in that way. How fortunate for Oscar. Yay. I don't know what it's like to look down and want something completely different down there, but people who do have that experience have very difficult lives. Even with good care, a lot of them go through depression and other issues. I can't talk about it much on TikTok, but people self-unaliving, like that's a big issue. So the doctors have figured out ways to address it that make those outcomes better for those people. And there's just like a couple basic things we can do. First of all, mind our own fucking business about the chemicals they put in their body with their doctors. There's some complicated discussions about sports and stuff. That stuff is relevant, but just out in everyday life, it doesn't matter what somebody does with their body. And one of the extensions of those things is that I think it makes more sense to use that gender label for things like bathrooms than it is the chromosomal sex, for some reasons I'd be happy to get into. But we're not really asking for much. We mostly just want you to leave them the fuck alone.
Got it. I just think mental health needs to be a focus. That's all. I'm going to end the conversation. I appreciate it.
I think I'm going to call that running, because I don't think that you have any good answers to any of the things I've said to you here.
I've said what I said. I don't want to be redundant, though, but I really appreciate the conversation.
Do you recognize that you are making an assertion about definitions of words that all of the experts in the field that study this disagree with?
I recognize that I've talked about this on many panels, and you're one person who...
I asked a yes or no question. The experts who study gender and these issues, the doctors who give these people care, they have this thing where they go, okay, we have this other thing called gender that is mostly the same as chromosomal sex to most people, but for some people it's different, and when it's different, we call that being trans, or there are some other labels that are associated with that sort of thing, and we give those people some care, some outcomes that will help them in the same way that if you had depression when you were a kid, you might go to the doctor and get a solution. You might get some therapy, you might get some medical care, like some drugs to fix that. Like there's different approaches to it. So all we're saying is that when there's this mismatch, there's maybe some things a person has to do in order to be healthy. And you were just asserting that this other label of gender is nonsense. My question, which I will insist that you answer with a yes or no, is that do you recognize that asserting that chromosomal sex and gender are the same thing puts you at odds with the entire community of people who've spent their lives studying this, going to school, putting themselves in mountains of debt to live their careers, actually just trying to help these people? Because on average they have pretty bad outcomes. Do you recognize that you disagree with them about the vocabulary?
I don't. What about the experts that don't disagree with this false
They're
narrative?
hard to find. They are outliers.
How can you say that?
If I told you that a particular medicine was good for people who had a high risk for heart attacks, and I said 99.97% of people who have medical degrees who are practicing physicians, practicing cardiologists and heart surgeons, they all agree, but you can find a couple of people who disagree and think that this is a bad medicine for heart ailments. You can find a couple of people who are prescribing other things. And if you look at that group of people, you'll find that it's a group of people who disproportionately lose their medical licenses for that type of nonsense, even if it has nothing to do with that particular opinion they hold on heart ailments. I would say, yeah, why are you looking at the dingbats who think that this heart medicine is bad instead of the consensus of the scientific and medical community who have the proof in the pudding that it isn't just an argument ad populum because they are so successfully curing heart ailments that we know that what they're doing is working? Why would you disagree with the 99% and listen to the 1% who says they're wrong, even when the 99% have results? Because the 99% who in the American Psychological Association and in the other fields where people actually address trans issues for people who have them, they all fucking disagree, and they also have the proof in the pudding, because when we give people the care that I advocate for on this show, their likelihood of self-unaliving goes down a lot. And if we were judging something like a heart ailment, we would measure things like your likelihood to die of a heart ailment. And if we were treating something like depression, we would measure how likely you were to be depressed for your whole life or to unalive yourself because of your depression. We measure those things and say, look at that, we're understanding this so well that we're making better outcomes for people. That is what happens with trans people when we let the doctors do their work, when we let the scientists do their work. And you're sitting here folding your arms, and I still don't know why you give a shit or think you're smarter than the entire medical community. I don't get it.
It's about mental health. Like I said, I don't think letting people run with a false narrative is healthy.
What is false? you think it's false, but all the doctors disagree. It's like you saying that medicine helping the heart ailment is false, even though everything.
You can't speak for all doctors, because you do that again. You can't speak for all doctors, because there are many doctors, many scholars that don't believe with this.
No. Here. I'm gonna sit and let you think harder while I answer some donors. Just think harder about the fact that you're the person who says that the heart medicine is bad, even though it works, and 99% of doctors say that it works. Think about that while I thank Chronically Weebus for $20 on YouTube Super Chat. Oh my goodness. He said, "Hi Oscar, found you through Dean and love your perspective. You're a powerhouse debater. Your dad would be proud. I was moved by your Father's Day episode." Caller ran. As someone who lost their dad 3 years ago, keep on cooking. Casey. W's in the chat for Casey with a K, Kacey, for being a new fan and immediately dropping me $20 to help me keep paying my bills while I do this. And yes, it was mildly embarrassing that one of my recent episodes, after I get all this exposure of Dean, is me like crying at right here 10 minutes into the show because I was talking about my dad on Father's Day and he happens to be dead. So Father's Day is like a little bit sad for Oscar. Anyway, call your dads, everybody. Elusive Viper sent me $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say, does the guest actually agree with the concept you're referring to via gender, or is he just butthurt about the semantics? Well, that's the question, right? Like, he can't see that it is like he's telling all the cardiologists they're wrong about what they've spent their life studying. He's just asserting that something doesn't happen, even though, to quote Dave Chappelle, who trans people generally do not like for good reason, he has a good quip about it. They cut their dicks off. I believe them. Like, at the end of the day, that we should take people seriously if they do that. That's clearly it's real what they're going through. If that's what it is. David, holy shit! David sent me $50 on Venmo to say, Oscar, I'm glad you were on Dean's Live yesterday. That's how I discovered you. You are a genuine talent in this space. You're thoughtful and focused. I appreciate your ability to not be moved by MAGA flailing. Force them to confront their cognitive dissonance. Cheers, sir. That's the thing I do. I don't use the mute button. And I really hold people down on certain things. Caitlin sent me $5 on Venmo for, I'm so sorry I accidentally joined your queue and I didn't mean to. Screw Trump and his MAGA fan base. Much love from a fellow Minnesotan. W's in the chat for Caitlin and for Minnesota. Caitlin with a K. Who else do we have? We have Darius, who has, I believe, not a new viewer. That's somebody who's been here before. Ask him, do biology books talk about females and not women? That would have been a good point. But that's just what it gets to, is that they just assert that they're the same thing when they aren't, and that's frustrating. The word transgenderism was coined in 1965. It's not about politics. This is old news. The guest was just propagandized. Yeah, I was trying to poke through the propaganda. Wasn't really working out because they, when I confront him with that the experts agree about this and you're the odd man out, they just never have any kind of answer. It's absolutely ridiculous. Why is my mouse stuck? There we go. Okay. We've got a friendly in the queue. I'm gonna let Ezra hop up. I did see we had Ezra and Raven in the queue, but I don't always let him up. I wanted to handle that one myself, but I'll let Ezra get anything in if there's anything that I missed on that.
It didn't seem like there was anything you missed. I was just going to talk about the fact that I have been hospitalized for mental health issues and never anything to do with my gender identity. I was trans when I entered the hospital. They never treated me for that. And I got out feeling a whole lot better, having been medicated for depression, anxiety, some other stuff. But I think that it's completely different. Being able to be yourself and feeling very true to yourself has made me feel 1,000 times better. Definitely not mental illness related.
Yeah. Thanks for the insight. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all just outcomes driven, right? Like, what is that guy upset about when all I'm trying to do is just make the outcomes for these people better in the same way that we try to with like heart ailments or depression or whatever other examples we could come up with. Hello, Raven.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, just, more trying to understand why the chuds care at all of what trans people are up to.
Totally. I was just going to try to get him to understand that sex and gender are different by using a hypothetical that I was going to use myself. Like, lots of people see me walk down the street and a lot of straight men hit on me not knowing that I'm trans. So they hit on me based on my feminine features, which is my gender, presentation.
Right.
And not based on my genitals.
If only the chuds knew how frequently they encountered somebody who passes.
Right, literally. I get hit on almost every time I go out.
Appreciate you. Cat Dad Chats, you got something to get in before I get to a next debate?
Yeah, I'm a historian, that's my biggest thing. And like you, Oscar, I actually used to be in education as well, but a bunch of us left education after COVID, I know. But even historically, when we talk about trans people, LGBTQ people in general, there is literally no recorded history in which trans people do not exist. Ancient China, you can find texts from ancient Chinese culture where trans people exist. You can find texts from ancient Greek, ancient Rome. You even have oral history from North and South American indigenous folks in which also trans people exist. So this isn't just some brand new thing like people try to make it sound like, oh, all of a sudden it's cool to be trans. It has never been quote unquote cool to be trans. These folks always have a target on their backs. It is one of the bravest things in the world, I think, to come out as trans, because you are coming out to a world of ridicule. It's not that you're doing this for attention. You are doing this so you can feel comfortable in your own goddamn body. And it's insane.
I don't understand how anybody can think it's like becoming cool to be trans, because like we have two trans people on the panel right now, and I am sorry, but it looks very much like it sucks to go through what you guys have had to go through and continue to go through in this political climate. The idea that people are doing it because it's popular just seems nonsensical to me.
And I'm going to be honest with you, when it comes like Raven, you make a great point, because I remember when Raven and I became mutuals, I had no idea Raven was trans actually until I really started like watching some of her content. I'm like, oh, cool, this is fine. Like it didn't change any of my perspective at Raven whatsoever.
I was going to add in there, because you're talking about history from an anthropological perspective. The only thing that has really changed about being trans is labels and the way that we're perceived by our outside culture. So definitely having different perspectives on how gender is presented and how we present our own gender. The idea that we don't necessarily label people as transgender when they don't have those labels to put on themselves, but knowing that they were going to have very similar experiences to me and Raven and everyone else that's trans. Like, it's very fascinating.
I appreciate the insight. Unless somebody else has something burning, I am going to get on to the next debate.
Kick me.
Thanks for having me.
Kicking for the algorithm. Thanks, friends. W in the chat for the ever-growing cast of characters who might pop up and talk about stuff, because Oscar doesn't know everything, and I like having experts come up who do know more than me about the stuff we're talking about. We're going to talk to DJ in the chat after I remind everybody about the link tree in my bio, where you can go follow me or follow the backup account down here, Oskar Quentin 2, or send me some money and stuff so I can pay my rent. Woo! DJ, how old are you? Hello. Goodbye. Thank you for the Surf Starburst page. Thanks for all the gifts over on TikTok. I see those coming in. But the queue is empty. We're lonely again. 650 people watching on TikTok, 150 on YouTube. The people on YouTube can't call in, so they're just watching. But those 650 I see people in the chat who are upset. I will start muting you. Which is, it's always so fun to mute people, because then I get accused of like muting the opposition, but I'm actually trying to platform you. If you're causing a ruckus in the chat, I'm going to start muting you to insist that you hit the button so you can enter the call and actually defend these claims. Ooh, I have some cash apps to talk about. Anastasia sent me $1 to say thank you for what you do to teach people. It's really meaningful to a lot of people, like, recognize that this still feels like an educational role, because I did quit my job as a high school teacher to do this. I got offered a better job at the high school, and it was like the same week I was like, no, I'm actually gonna quit. So it's good to still potentially get to have that educational role, and obviously it's my experience, and that is all tied up in why I'm good at this and all that. Jessica sent me $5 to say you're great at this, don't stop. No intentions. Thank you so much, Jessica. 10 to 12 every day for the foreseeable. I will probably take a long weekend at some point this summer so I can go camping and enjoy that Minnesota weather. But for now, I am just gonna keep doing 10 to 12 every day. And for all the new viewers from Dean, I will add, I have a Sunday evening show where we have a special guest. We did the first episode of that. What day is it? A couple days ago, Sunday. That's at 7 p.m. Central Time. And then for all the members, all the super fans on TikTok, for all of the members on YouTube, they're called different things on all the platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok all have like a $5 subscription level. I do like a chill, not high-strung version of the live stream where we just talk privately. It's not available to the public. At least that's the intention, because we have some tech issues with that. But yeah, if you want to like hang out and do an FAQ and stuff, if that sort of thing interests you, that's available to the monthly subscribers, which I'm so glad to announce, because for months now, the monthly subscribers have been just subscribed on this monthly thing, to get nothing just because they like me, which I so appreciate. But I just wanted to offer something in return. And the members only chat was lots of fun. It ended up running like 3 hours or something like that, because it's just good time. It's nice to not have to worry about the For You page. It's nice to not to sit and yap and worry about the dead air and worry about getting pushed out and worry about the algorithm and worry about getting callers and pester everybody to double tap. Like, it's so nice to just say, this one's just us girls. We're just going to kick it and like talk about random stuff. Maybe I'll have a drink of my apple juice on the members only chat, because I keep it straight when I'm on the main show. But yeah, the members only chat is fun. All right, what's going on in the chat? PK says, I just don't understand how you can argue gender doesn't change, but there's more than two gender. I don't know what you're arguing, PK. The girls here love your chair, bud. Oh, Lisa became a member over on YouTube just as I said that, so I guess the advertising is working. Thank you, Lisa. W's in the chat for Lisa for becoming a member on YouTube Super Chat. Or what are they called on YouTube? I don't even know. I have no idea what I'm doing. I was talking to my Discord about this last night. It's amazing that I got on Dean. I asked Google how long ago was February 9th, because that's when I did my first debate stream. It was 133 days ago. That's how long it took me to get to in Dean's circle, and I was inspired to do it by him. I did listen to him a lot and think, I want to do this. I want to see what it's like for me to do this. So I just started doing it. So very exciting. It's very exciting to have the recognition from him and from a lot of his fans. I very much appreciate it. Madison Lee spent me $5 on Venmo. Found you a couple months ago, and I instantly knew you and Dean would be a powerhouse together. Keep being you and fighting the good fight. You're amazing. Much love from Oklahoma. W's in the chat for Madison for such kind words. Yeah, obviously I've gotten a lot of attention in the last 24 hours, but I'm just most excited about all the people who've been here for months who are just excited about the growth. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just super fun. Canadian Vicky sent me $2 on YouTube Super Chat, $3 Canadian to say, watching you on Dean's live, I was like, that's my guy. Yeah, I'm just excited about it, you know? I hope Dean's not watching, because I'm sitting here cheesing about it. Dean, go away. I'm being private and talking about you. Go. I don't know if he's in here. I don't know his alt account or anything like that, but he said he's watching, which is fun. And I have heard that some of the other hosts are using my talking points, which is great. You know, like the talking points aren't mine to keep. It's just, if I say something reasonable, you should say it too. So I'm just excited about that. Man, there was one little quip I came up with yesterday. Oh no, we're gonna talk about it later because we've got somebody in the queue. We've got King Kong 23666. Get double tapping away on the screen, so there are lots of viewers for this hopefully very interesting and productive conversation. I know it's going to be totally interesting in good faith, right? How old are you?
22.
22. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Why on earth?
I think he supports patriotism in this country. I think he's...
Okay, wait, hold on. That's great. I you know what? I actually really admire somebody who wants a patriotic president. I think that we should spend a moment defining what patriotism is. What does patriotism mean to you?
Someone who has a strong, firm belief in conservatism and American values.
Hold on.
Like protecting our land.
Hold on. Conservatism has historically roughly been like half of the country, and I think it's actually way more patriotic to like look at the founding documents of the country, the things the founding fathers said about why the country should exist and like why we should all work together to, you know, pursue everybody's pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Like, for example, when I think about policies that I want, as a liberal, as a pretty left-leaning liberal, I really think about the conservatives as well. I want to make sure that you guys have good jobs. I want to make sure you're happy.
That's good.
I believe in the founding principles of the country. I believe in the founding documents of the country, and I want people who live here to be prosperous. Why do you think it has something to do with conservative versus liberal?
Well, I think liberals, they have an idea of a multicultural society kind of intertwining with each other with a whole bunch of different values. But when this country was established, we had a strong defiance of Christianity and a freedom, to vote, to protect our rights.
Yeah, we also allowed.
I wasn't done.
I know you're not done, and I'm going to interrupt you to point out that is a time where we also allowed slavery. So I'm not really interested in the general norms. What I am interested in is the founding documents documents of the country that have been the foundation of our legal system that has protected us and given us all the easy lives that most of us take for granted.
You're not a liberal if a lot of liberals want our second amendment to be taken away, the right to own a gun.
You're getting to specific issues, and what we're still talking about is patriotism, and I think that identifying patriotism is something that you're identifying patriotism is something as necessarily aligned with your half of the political divide in this country, and I think that it's silly to define a patriotism in a way that only respects half the people in the country. You haven't addressed my concern about that.
Well, I think in a society where we've seen public figures like Charlie Kirk be assassinated by the demographic.
I live in Minnesota. One of our lawmakers was assassinated in their sleep last year, and their partner was killed, and then the guy went to somebody else's house and tried to kill another lawmaker in their partner. They survived. Yeah, political violence.
I gotta go. Can I come back?
Yeah, you can come back. Absolutely.
All right, I'll talk to you here in a minute.
Oh,
how long are you live for?
Ooh, disconnected him. I'm live until noon. You got 45 minutes to come back and keep it going. He's going to go Google some talking points and have ChatGPT help him out because he realized he called up somebody that his bullshit isn't going to work on. W's in the chat for Portland for warning me about that guy. He didn't tell me anything specific. He just said he's super disingenuous and common in the debate space. It's funny when I should mention Melissa Hortman. Rest in peace, Melissa. I don't know how a lawmaker can get assassinated in their bed and a political commentator being assassinated in public doesn't get as much attention. The assassin of Melissa Hortman successfully killed her husband. Somebody help me with the name of the other lawmaker who was shot but not killed. He also had a list of other Democratic people. Like, this is a person who was going to try to change like Democratic politics in Minnesota with the power of a gun, and they succeeded by taking one of our lawmakers out. Why are you bringing up Charlie Kirk? Violence is bad, yo. Can we just talk about patriotism? We didn't really get there, but I think it's patriotic for the president to follow the Constitution, and I don't think that Trump's a patriot. Tracy, we're going to talk to Tracy Barbosa, and everybody's going to click Oskar Quentin too in the corner and follow my backup account. Tracy's going to wait while I read this YouTube super chat for $20 from Metal Rose Mavs, who says, "Found you through Dean. You debate like it's a superpower. You are fantastic, man." Yeah, maybe during friendly time we'll talk a little bit about my work history and why I found myself reasonably qualified at this early on. But for now, Tracy, you're being awfully noisy, so please get that under control and tell me how old you are. Hello? Goodbye, Tracy. I don't think Tracy meant to join. Oh, what was the thing I was going to talk about, but then I saw Tracy. I don't remember. It's gone. ADHD. I need somebody take me back if they remember what I was talking about. Oh my gosh. Nina sent me $50 on Venmo. W's in the chat for Nina. Big donation today. Low IQ people tend to vote conservative because they... And then it gets cut off. Nina... No, for $50, I should read your whole message, but this has been happening on Venmo where it just shows me the first line and there's no ... or show more or anything. It's just like gone. Oh wait, no, it's refreshing. It worked. Low IQ people tend to vote conservative because they are incapable of nuance, critical thought, and need someone to tell them what to think. MAGA's claiming patriotism when the president craps on the Constitution daily is crazy work. Nita understands where that debate was going to go if he had stayed. We'll see if he comes back. I think potentially that was a runner, and we'll just have to see. I'm not sure. But lots of runners today, and nobody in the queue. Nobody wants to talk to Oscar. Yeah. It's a little sad scaring away all the basic chuds, you know? Like, it's bad faith to only debate with people who are bad debating, but that's why a lot of the chuds don't debate with me, because I am good at debating. Hello, Noodle. Oh, all the new Dean fans. Noodle, come here. Hop up. Or you want to come around the other side? You got to meet the whole cast and crew. W's in the chat for Noodle. Noodle's my alert dog. She's going to tell me when the chuds come to assassinate me in my sleep. So, you know, thank you for barking when you hear noises, even though it's annoying during the show. It, you know, I'll at least know it's coming when somebody comes to kill me in my sleep. All right, all done, Noodle. Good girl. All right, where's Scout? Scout hasn't made an appearance today. We got Suki and Merlin. Scout! I don't know. She'll probably show up. Yes, Noodle. Noodle's very jealous always. She can tell that the show is in some way a social thing, and she always wants to be up in my business when I'm live. So for all the new viewers, if I'm over here like doing something with my left hand, it's petting my dog. She likes to hang out right here to my left during the show, and I'm often patting her on the back. Somebody's calling me a communist propagandist. I think I am neither of those things. Please hit the request button on your screen and levy your accusations that I'm a communist propagandist. I actually spend a good amount of time on this show doing battle with the communists because we tend to disagree. I agree with the communists about some idealistic stuff, but not not really their approach to American politics, and that sometimes is interesting. Shannon Elwood says, for $1 on Cash App, ADHD in French is TDAH. Ooh, I wonder what it stands for. Maybe she can message me. Ta-da! I think ADHD is in some ways helpful for the show. In some ways, it's quite problematic because I have to manage a lot, and it's hard to keep it all on my plate. We're going to talk to Dagger. Dagger, tell us how old you are after you connect. My sign's out of frame. Oh, no. Thank you, chat. Hello, Dagger. How old are you?
Oh, I'm on your side. I live in Brooklyn Center. I vote for Omar every 2 years. Sorry. Was tapping.
Appreciate you. Are you talking about Ilhan Omar? I also vote for Ilhan Omar. Or are you talking about... No, you're not. You're in Brooklyn Center, so you wouldn't have voted for Omar Fatah. Anyway. Law of the Wild says, Oskar Quentin, you are a little bit of a propagandist, just not in a bad way. Yeah, well, we would need to define propaganda to really... for me, the definition of propaganda involves a little bit... There's a little bit of it being disingenuous baked into it. I think you have to be disingenuous with what you're spreading. I think you have to be intentionally spreading information that serves your agenda first, not the truth, to be a propagandist. But, intent is very difficult to prove, as I'm sure Law of the Wild knows. So maybe he and I could have a friendly discussion about that at some point. Knowledgeable Gain says, education means so much. Knowledge is power, man. Like people ask, what do you same thing that Dean always says about debating is just practice, just get up and start arguing some of the stuff you believe in. You'll learn quickly which of your ideas are shitty because they'll get challenged, and that's okay. I had a couple of approaches or things I wasn't super educated on that I had to brush up on when I started this, but the trial by fire really works. But the other side of that is just learn stuff. Oh, the quip on Dean's. Yeah, we had a caller who was... I'm going to clip this. I hope he doesn't mind me clipping his show. He probably doesn't. The caller was suggesting that that illegal immigrants don't have any constitutional rights, that the Constitution doesn't apply to non-citizens. And we were talking about the Fourth Amendment. So what I pointed out to the caller is that if the 14th Amendment is about granting citizenship to people, which it is, we're necessarily starting with a person who doesn't have citizenship, which means that a constitutional right is being granted to a person who isn't a citizenship. And I was looking at the screen when I said it, and Dean made a face, which is going to be pretty good for the clip. I could tell he liked that one. And then we held the guest down on it. Yes or no, do you recognize that because the Constitution grants people citizenship, it necessarily offers rights to people who aren't citizens in the first place? That was a fun one. And yeah, that was Omar at the end. Omar was boring and stubborn. Shrek of New York, I agree. I agree that he was boring and stubborn. He had a particular flavor of avoiding the point where me as co-host on Dean's show, it's difficult for me to not want to step on his toes. I was getting accused of stepping on his toes a little bit in the chat, but part of what's happening is that I've had these conversations so many times that I know he's not going to land the plane. He's going to fly the plane long enough that we forget which airport we took off from, and he's going to land it wherever the fuck he wants after that's happened. So when I interrupt the flight and say, sir, you're off track. You're not going where I told you to go. We're not even in the same airspace. And he says, no, I am. Let me land the plane. You can just keep saying that. You can just keep wearing us down. And the reason it's an effective strategy on debates is I got a little interesting taste of Dean's demographics. I was on the show for an hour, and the concurrent viewership on TikTok was something around 15,000. But the reported number of viewers when I left the stream was 100,000, which means that the turnover is pretty big. I didn't know. I know it's pretty big on a show like mine, but I just don't know for Dean's massive viewership. So when somebody's listening to that conversation, a lot of people are coming and going. And if you only hear 5 minutes of that, it looks to you through that 5-minute window that I'm stepping on his toes and not letting him finish his argument. Though in the context of what was something like a 40-minute call, it's clear that he's doing the same thing over and over and over again. He's taking the plane off, flying around in circles until we get bored and forget where we started, and then going somewhere else. And so I can interrupt him and accuse him of that when I see it coming, but it is difficult. And I'm little bummed it was that sort of caller for my performance on Dean's, but I don't know. The consensus is that I cooked him, so yay. It worked out. Law of the Wild says my appearances on Dean's have been similar. Yeah. I also think, and maybe Dean's watching right now and he can hear, I will say he skipped some calls that I preferred he wouldn't, because I'm aware that for his viewership, he has to be more narrow about who he accepts. There has to be a particular type of caller you're not going to have 20,000 live concurrent watchers if people are not getting what they expect. And I try to offer a little more variety, which is why I take a wider set of calls, even though I'm growing now and I don't necessarily have to. But I like diverse, varied arguments. So I often, especially with some of those female callers we had at the beginning, it's like, let me just ask some calm background questions to assess exactly what flavor of pick me girl you are, and then we shall select a mode of destruction for your participation in this debate. But sometimes it takes a little bit of information gathering. But I always say there's value in people doing this differently. I don't think anybody's going to say that there's one way to be the best debate host. It's not about that. Each of us just have our own influence and reach, and whatever we can do to make a difference in this thing, to get people better educated about the facts and about how to argue this stuff, that's all going to be beneficial. And if there are people who like the sound of Dean's voice but don't like the sound of my voice, that's fine, or vice versa, or anybody else. Like, it's all about varied approaches. So I'm making a little bit of a case for myself for all the new viewers who are here watching live for the first time with me today. I take a lot of like I try to keep it pretty oppositional, at least for the first 90 minutes of the show, but I do take some like more obscure calls. I will talk to the odd accelerationist. I will talk to the odd non-voter. I will talk to the odd communist or libertarian or, some specific flavor of communism, like Marxist-Leninists and stuff like that. Maddie says, Oscar, would you ever consider doing Jubilee video like Surrounded? Tell you what, man, having been on Dean's show, that's the next benchmark, right? Like, that's the next thing, like, eye on the prize in terms of continuing to grow and doing what Dean says that he believes I'm going to do, which is be a big commentator, a big debater or whatever it is in this thing. I need to get myself on Jubilee. I've got criticisms of how Jubilee runs, but it's incredible for the exposure. And once again, they get views. And maybe if we ran the show in a way that was like, what is my perfect like ideal in terms of conveying the information in a way that's good faith and perfect, like, we have to be honest, but at the end of the day, it's got to sell. And I make those sorts of decisions about the clips that I choose and about how, I conduct myself here on the show. So we just have to balance, like, you always have to be honest. Authenticity has to come first, but it does work at odds with that to be successful in the algorithm. So just, we all have to navigate that. We all navigate it in a different way. More Dean collabs? That's up to Dean. That's his choice. What was Law of the Wild saying? Do I ever listen to David Akara? I don't. DM me if you want me to, because I'm not going to remember right here just reading the chat. But I do poke through my DMs and look at the things that people tell me to look at. So I appreciate that. Law of the Wild says, Oskar Quentin, I'm going to need a bit of credit in your auto bio for bringing Dean into your live. Oh, did you do that? Thank you. I was wondering how that eventually happened. Oscar, I don't know if I'm following your right account on Facebook. Oh yeah, there is like a buried personal account that nobody should follow. Oskar Quentin Music, and linktr in the bio if you want to be able to just find all that stuff directly. Facebook is actually cooking away. It's going to pass Instagram, I think. The video of Dean glazing me did very well on Facebook, and I got like 30,000 more followers about it. So I'm up to 58,000 on Facebook. Craziness. But I mean, I gotta just keep saying thanks to people like Brian, who sent me fucking $100 on Venmo. What the fuck, dude? Thank you. He says, Oscar, I appreciate how you move conversations beyond talking points towards facts, curiosity, and critical thinking. In a time when many are more focused on being heard than understanding others, your platform encourages meaningful dialogue and thoughtful discussion. Brian, thank you so much. W's in the chat for Brian. He's gotten to something that I really think consciously about a lot, which is that when I run this show, I try to understand the caller. I want to know how they're thinking about this works. I'm not interested in shoving my talking points down their throat. That might happen at the end of the conversation. We use the phrase dog walking, and I think that it's more impressive to dog walk a dog if the leash is slacked. And I get a slacked leash for the dog walking if I say, hey, did you understand what I just said? Are we following so far? Do we have this common ground? Do you accept that hypotheticals are important? Okay, you accept the hypothetical. Do you see how it applies to what we were just talking about? Like, I really try to slow down and just make sure that that they understand what I'm talking about. And that comes from a lifetime of being an educator. While I'm waiting for somebody to show up in the queue, I will just keep talking to all the new people here. I'm a professional educator. I quit a job working as a high school teacher, a pretty busy substitute teacher who taught lots of different subjects. I taught public speaking for a lot of years. I'm an old school theater kid. Thank you, Butt Mustard, for the gift on YouTube Super Chat. What even was the gift? I don't know. It doesn't tell me. Why doesn't it tell me? West sent me $10 on YouTube Super Chat to say, I like your debate approach because it is more informative and less combative while still holding people to the point. Keep up the good work. Well, I try to give what I get because, Snappy Oscar, the couple of episodes that are most recent on the YouTube that you can go watch, feature Snappy Oscar. It's been a little snappy the last couple of days, but I do really like the calm, teacher approach, because a lot of the time when I have an 18-year-old call in, I just go right into teacher mode. I just go, hang on there, what's going on? Let's talk about why you believe this. I'm 30. I don't need to be yelling at an 18-year-old, but I will yell at somebody who threatens my life. That happens on the show. I will yell at somebody who threatens my pets. That happened on the show the other day. Bailey says Oscar could be snappy. I like to call him Pissy Oscar. I don't think Pissy Oscar's here today. We'll see. Jesse sent me $20 on Venmo. Guys, the donations today are crazy. Thank you so much for the $20. Jesse says, I was kind of nervous when you joined Dean live, but you fucking killed it. I actually DM'd Dean on your behalf. I take no credit. I'm just saying that I know how great you are and you deserve your success. And that's Portland in the chat. Yeah, I don't know if I know he'd found me on Instagram a week earlier. Just algorithm sent him one of my videos that was doing pretty well. So thanks to anybody who pestered him, because I very carefully did not ask anybody to pester anybody that's not how I want to get. It's not how you make friends with people at the end of the day. So I didn't do that. Francisco sent me $5 to say, love your work, bud. Would you consider running for office one day? Politics in America needs to change a lot for somebody like me to run, but I do want politics in this country to change in that way. So maybe if I run for public office, the first public office I run for would probably be mayor of Minneapolis, and I'm not going to do it until I'm in my 40s. So that's my answer to that on this particular Tuesday. That answer has changed more in the last 6 months than it ever has before in my life. So I think about it from time to time. But anyway, JB Dubé is our next caller, and they're going to tell us how old they are.
Hey, Oscar, how are you?
I'm doing well. How old are you?
68 years old, and I'm friendly, and I'm sorry, I know you just want opposition right now, but you mentioned hypotheticals. I watch you regularly. Mm-hmm. I like your style. You mentioned hypotheticals. Another creator mentioned one the other day that hit home so well for me. I just wanted to pass it along. And like opinions, everybody has a different one. So I don't know if it will hit home or not.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It was regarding trans and gay people, and what they said was, I don't understand these people's, i.e. MAGA, fascination with this alternate lifestyle. And it's like, here's the hypothetical, it's like if you don't like coleslaw, when you go to a barbecue and they're serving your plate, you say, no, thank you, I don't like coleslaw. And you sit down and you enjoy the barbecue. You don't sit at a barbecue normally and go, hey, I wonder who's eating the coleslaw. Oh, they got coleslaw? Gee, I wonder why. I don't like coleslaw. You don't go on and on with how much the coleslaw is unless you're really interested in it. And you just don't want to tell anybody that, hey, I love coleslaw, but I don't want you to know. And I just for me, it was like, oh, well, I can relate.
Well, so the issue I have with using that, it's more of an analogy, it's like a comparison, but the issue I have with that sort of approach is that it's so obvious to you and me that it is that way, because when I look at somebody else eating coleslaw, I happen to not like coleslaw at all, so your analogy really works for me. I look at somebody eating... Don't pay any... I'm not going to yuck anybody else's yum, absolutely. So I look at that the same way as I look at somebody going on hormone therapy, where I'm like, oh man, I hope that works out for them, but I don't want any of that shit for me, and it's very much the same thing. But I think my honest review of that as a rhetorical device is that falls into the echo chamber fallacy a little bit, which I just made up. But the idea I'm getting at is that it's going to only be effective on people who already feel that way, because people are so upset about what trans people are doing. They're so upset about how it goes against their principles that to them it's not. They're going to say that's a terrible analogy. Being trans is nothing like picking a food taste or something like that. I might try it out. I might try the food preferences thing and just talk about it that way.
It's just interesting how much time they spend investigating the negative aspects, and if you're not involved, why do you care? How does it affect your life? Well, don't you just do your hobbies, love your family, go to work, the regular business? Why do you spend so much time on this?
I am going to let you go. Thank you for your time, JB. I'm going to let Raven get a word in edgewise, but everybody keep double tapping away on the screen because we do have some opposition in the chat. David, I'm coming for you. Hang out. Sit tight. What's up, Raven? How are you doing, Law of the Wild, as well?
Hi. I'm doing great. The analogy is really great for pointing out like people's obsession and hatred, but it's also kind of a good analogy for a different reason. If you replace the coleslaw with HRT, like say you put HRT in front of you, if you think, ew, gross, I don't want that, it's because you're cis. If somebody puts HRT in front of you and they have, a positive response, it's because they're trans. That's pretty much the most definitive way of figuring out if somebody's trans.
It gets to that.
Do you want to eat the coleslaw?
It gets to that like Dave Chappelle quip that I brought up, which fuck him for a lot of things that he said about trans people.
Yeah, fuck Dave Chappelle, just throwing that out there.
But if somebody has surgery on their genitals to change what they look like, I'm just going to look at that and be like, all right, I assume what's going on with you is serious. Like that's right. I don't want that. The fact that you want that is meaningful to me about what you're going through. I do want to get to David, Law of the Wild. Do you have anything to throw in before we move on?
Put me down anytime. That was all I had. Thanks. Love you, chat.
No, other than the fact that you're just terrible at self-promotion. So I was going to hop up and do a little announcement here. Everybody, this is Oskar. Oskar's a fellow Minnesotan, amazing debater, love the flag. And if you see a little red button up top that says follow, that means you're not following Oskar, and you need to fix that immediately because this is a great show. If you up where that follow button would see a little heart, that means you haven't sent your daily heart me, and we need to take care of that right away as well. And he's been sitting at about 170,000 likes for way too long. We've got over 500, almost 600 people here. Fill up the bar 2 times. You get that little confetti blast 2 times. We'll get them over 200,000 and drag some more people into the show. That's all I got. You can drop me for the algo.
Love you, Law of the Wild. W's in the chat for Law. And yeah, guys, it's I still feel a little icky doing, trying to work that grift or whatever. So I'm trying to take the advice of friends like Law and be a little more assertive about the engagement. David is our next caller, and if he's the David I think he is, I think this will wrap up the show nicely. David, remind me how old you are?
59.
59. We've spoken before, correct?
Yeah. How old are you?
30.
Oh, is this your career now, or what's going on?
Sure seems that way.
I'm not sure it's a good idea. I mean, you don't contribute to Social Security this way, do you?
Well, I'll have to pay taxes on the income.
Right. But I'm talking about Social Security.
It depends. There's about a dozen different revenue streams that I have. I'm not really interested in discussing my personal finances on the show, but some of them do have withholding, some of them don't, and taxes are pretty complicated for people who are self-employed.
Huh. All right. Well, I mean, it's a good hobby. I'm not sure if it's
okay. Why do you think Trump's a good president?
Well, he's done the stuff he said he was going to do, right?
I don't think that's true. He said he wasn't going to go to war in Iran. He went to war in Iran. He also said that he was going to lower gas prices. The war in Iran increased gas prices. What in the ever-living fuck are you talking about?
Correct. The war in Iran raised the gas prices, correct. But now they're coming down, right? As the conflict kind of backs down a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. And what's the damage that's been done to the inflation rate?
It's gone up.
Yeah. And that's also another one of his promises that he failed, because he said he was going to lower grocery prices day one. And he, in addition to going to war, killing some American servicemen, a bunch of innocent people in Iran, a bunch of not innocent people in Iran, which I'm actually okay with. But that's kind of an aside here. He increased those gas prices. He increased inflation in a way that's going to be lasting through his presidency. So even if these numbers start to go down, that'd be a little bit like if I burned your house down and you were like, dude, you burned my house down. And I'm like, no, look, the fire's out. We're wetting all, it's just embers. We're getting the hose on it. Don't worry. The problem's gone. No, the damage is done. Groceries are going to be more expensive at the end of the year than they were at the beginning in a way that's not expected for a healthy inflation rate. And that is specifically because of campaign promises that Donald Trump has broken. What are you talking about?
So you're saying inflation is like burning your house down?
I'm saying that you saying that the war is ending is like me burning your house down and then rewarding myself for putting the fire out.
Okay. So inflation, right? We know it's because of the war, correct?
Okay. The war is a significant contributing factor.
Yes. So we have the reason, correct?
Inflation is caused by a lot of things, and individual things that might push it aggressively might be looked at as the cause of a particular bump. I just want to be very careful about my language, because the war in Iran is far from the only thing that affects inflation. It's just that global fuel prices affect inflation so much that right now it's a noteworthy contributing factor to the change that we're seeing in inflation.
Correct. I'll agree with
the
you.
tariffs are also hurting, but
okay. So I'll agree with you that the price of the oil is up because of the war, right? So do you think it could never come down if the oil starts to flow again?
Well, I do think that when the inflation rate is high, it can go down. That happened during Biden's term. It was very high because of a bunch of totally nuclear options that we chose to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Was the inflation rate higher under Biden than it is under Trump?
Way higher. Was the war in Iran worse or better for Earth than COVID?
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess
millions of people died of COVID. How many people have died in the Iran war?
A lot.
Not millions, though.
I don't know the answer to that question.
It's a full. I don't know. I don't know the exact number. I don't know the exact number, but I'm confident that it is a 4 or 5 digit number. I'd be very surprised if it's a 6 digit number, and it's a 7 or 8 digit number of people that COVID killed. COVID was a way bigger deal, and we did some very aggressive things, like offering stimulus checks to people so that they could buy their groceries and pay their rent and not end up homeless because of a pandemic. We knew when we did that the way that society pays for that is an outlandish inflation rate, and Biden spent most of his term trying to correct that. He did a fantastic job, and now Donald Trump is fucking that up unnecessarily, because it's not as though the entire world's going through an emergency and we have a big inflation rate. It's that we are having a local emergency that's created by the president and the sanctions that are against us by people who control the world's oil reserves. The fact that he's using all this Venezuelan oil to enrich himself instead of help this problem is another aside I could throw on there. But you're really just moving past the point. Like, yes, I agree that in the future things will get fixed. That doesn't answer my question about why you think that Donald Trump obeyed his own campaign promises when we've listed 5 or 6 major points that he talked about on the campaign trail that all in an interconnected way have not been successful.
You listed one, no new wars.
No new wars, better gas prices, better cost of living, and then there's a few things that are tied in with that, like the inflation rate and stuff like that. So yes, there's about a half dozen individual measures that he said he was going to improve.
Oscar, take a breath. Oscar, there you go. Oscar, as we wind down the war, right? Because is it really up to us to wind the war down, or is it up to Iran?
I'm going to insist that you answer my question. True or false?
What was your question?
My question is, do you recognize that I have listed 2, 3, or 4 large ways in which Donald Trump has not kept his campaign promises? Then why are you calling in and telling me that Donald Trump kept his campaign promises and that's why you're happy with his performance?
Because I know the reason why that's happening. And so do you. So you're saying because you're paying higher gas prices that we should probably not be stopping Iran from developing an ICBM-tipped nuclear weapon.
No, that's not what I said. That wasn't the subject matter. I wasn't even talking about it.
What is he trying to do?
I didn't bring up nuclearization in Iran. We can talk about that.
What is he trying to do? What's he trying to do?
Specifically, why did you call in and tell me
Why did Trump say he is trying to do in Iran?
Okay, do you want me to answer to nuclearization? Because it is going to be another wall of information, even though I just...
You're saying that we should not pay higher gas prices, we should let them have that, and we could keep our gas prices low.
That's not what I'm saying. No, that's not a fair characterization.
What are you saying,
of my position.
Bro?
I didn't bring up nuclearization. Why are you accusing me of saying something about nuclearization?
Well, why? Okay, so why is he going to war? Why? Oh, I know. Take a deep breath. I know these are hard questions. I know. I get it.
Trump keep his campaign promises or not?
Oh,
we do nothing on my show where we don't move on.
we don't move on. We don't move on. I already answered your question.
No, you didn't. True or false?
Yes.
Donald Trump generally does not.
Are those two things? Did he keep the campaign part of no new war? Nope. Did he keep it lower gas prices? Nope.
Okay.
So what else do you want me to answer for you? So here's the thing.
Right,
why?
Okay, fine. I'm glad you concede that.
Do
Do you want to talk about nuclearization now?
Why did he do this?
To defend American hegemony in the Middle East. He wants to be a tyrant. He wants to have power on the world stage. He doesn't care about cost of living.
That's why he did it?
Yeah. Well, also to distract from the Epstein files, but
that could be part of it, but that's why he did it, is to become what?
Recognize that. Wait, the fact that you recognize that could be the fact that you recognize that demonstrates to me that you think that he wants to distract people from the Epstein files, which is its own topic. You asked me about nuclearization. Can I give you my perspective on Donald Trump's performance when it comes to Trump and Iran, or Trump's performance on Iran with nuclearization? Can I tell you what I think about that? No? Then why'd you bring it up?
Because you have a TDS problem, and it's all going to be slanted with TDS.
Are we talking about TDS now? We've spent time talking about whether or not things are in the DSM today.
Oscar, you can't critically think. Your entire
I don't believe you.
is clouded.
Yeah. Run away, pivot,
Seriously,
dodge,
I'm
attack,
not running away.
Squirm, flail.
You don't think that's part of it, Oscar?
Do you want me to address Donald Trump's performance?
Let me ask you a question. Has he done anything good in your eyes?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Operation Warp Speed during his first term was really good, and if you want something from his second term, rescheduling the M drug is something that is obviously widely popular that I've been waiting for the U.S. president to use some of their authority to achieve, so those are some good things.
What's the M drug?
It's the one that hippies like to smoke. I'm not allowed to say it on TikTok.
Oh, that. Okay. That's it, though.
You asked for examples, and I gave two. How many was I supposed to give?
So, a lot.
I saw a video where Donald Trump did a meet and greet with some people at the White House, and one of them was a clearly very disabled child, and I actually thought to myself, wow, what a nice grandpa figure he's being. He's being so polite with that kid who clearly is developmentally challenged. How nice of him. How presidential of him. That's three. Is three enough?
Oh my God, your TDS is strong.
One of the defining characteristics that people often give me, one of the diagnostic criteria that people give me when I ask for the diagnostic criteria of Donald Trump is not being able to say something positive about him. I just said 3 positive things about him. I think you're surprised that I did that. I think it gives you nowhere to go in this line of reasoning you're on. What the fuck are we talking about, David? Where's this going?
Is the border in better shape today than it was?
I don't think that's relevant to anything that we've been talking about. Are you just changing topics because you don't like the line of questioning
You
we're
asked for
currently on?
good things he's done, right?
Yeah, I think it's very bad that the way that he has chosen to actually...
Is that bad? Is that a bad thing?
I think the way he's gone about it is very bad.
Okay, so he should have left it the way it was.
That's not what I said.
Okay, how did he go about it bad?
Wait, I just want to address the disingenuous response that you just said. Seriously. Seriously. I'm going to, seriously. I am going to, seriously. Seriously. I want to address something that you just said. Here, we're having a conversation, and what happens right now in the conversation is that we're going to talk about what just happened in the conversation. You said that I'm asserting...
Word salad.
Listen, David, use your ears. You said to me that I must be saying he should have done nothing about it. I'm going to use an analogy, which is that if the house is on fire and I'm pouring gasoline on it, you might say, Oscar... Listen, David, show my audience that you can use your brain.
How about...
No, David, I'm going to talk over you. The only thing that happens next on this show is my analogy. You can yap over me, and that's what will happen for the remaining 14 minutes of the show if you don't listen. Are you going to listen? I don't use the mute button.
Go, give me the house fire thing.
Okay, if the house is on fire and I'm pouring gasoline on it, somebody might say, Oscar, I hate the way that you're trying to put out that house fire. Stop it. Would it be fair for you to say that that person is saying that we should do nothing about the house fire?
Is the house fire bigger or not as big?
Is a person who is mad at me for pouring gas on the fire suggesting that we should do nothing about the fire?
Did the house fire get bigger on the border or less?
Is somebody asserting that I should not be throwing gasoline on the fire? Is that person suggesting that we shouldn't address the fire?
I think he did address the fire.
Yes or no is saying that I shouldn't pour gasoline on the fire.
Whatever this stupid analogy is.
You're not listening. You have to listen. You have to convince me that you listen and understand it, or we're not going to proceed. Do you want to try again?
Yes. Throwing gas on a fire is not a good situation.
Oh, so you don't want to do anything about the fire? What's wrong with you?
Did he do something about the fire?
Do you recognize that that's the argument? We can get to why okay, I'm glad you recognize the analogy. Now we can get to
word salad.
Is it okay if it was word salad? Then we have to start over again because it seemed if you think it was word salad, then you don't. Yeah. So stop insulting it and calling it word salad because if you say what I said, word salad, that means that you didn't understand it, and I'm going to try again.
Nobody understands word salad, bro.
Do you want me to speak more slowly? Do you want me to use smaller words?
But yes, please. Okay. Talk about the fire. I was talking about the border.
Okay,
but you want to talk about this house fire thing.
Okay, so let's talk about the fire again.
Give me some word salad.
Okay. If there's a house on fire, if there's a house that's on fire and I'm trying to put it out by pouring gasoline on it, is that a good way to put out the fire? Yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Now, you just said that I'm doing a very bad job addressing this problem. If somebody were to come along and say, David, you don't want the house fire to be put out, would that be a fair thing to say based on what you just said?
No.
Okay, then I am arguing that it's not fair to say that I don't want the border to be addressed, that I don't want illegal immigration to be addressed, just because I think it's really bad the way that Trump is addressing the problem in the same way that you thought it was really bad the way I was addressing the house fire. I think it's real bad the way that he's addressing immigration. So can we talk about why I think it's really bad the way that he's addressing immigration?
Go ahead. Boy, this is a really dumb analogy.
Yeah, I know. It's so frustrating listening to somebody who knows how to talk about these things. I know. It is true, as a matter of fact.
Paid by the word?
No, I get paid by the donors. Do you want me to thank some of the donors, or do you want me to proceed with the conversation?
Then I'm going to leave.
Okay, so let's listen. I'm going to talk about Donald Trump's performance on the border. It is, as a matter of fact, true that one of Donald Trump's few campaign promises that he has succeeded on accomplishing is reducing drastically the number of illegal entries to this country. As a matter of fact...
How fast did he do it?
Very quickly. As a matter of fact,
he did
inside of a year, almost instantly. Very, very fast.
Inside of a month?
Yes, he did it by doing something really horrible. Yes, he did it by doing something really horrible, and I'm trying to get to that.
What was horrible?
He allowed the enforcement agency, whose job it is to enforce immigration and customs in this country, to violate the Constitution, which puts all of us in danger. And that's so much of a bigger problem than illegal immigration that I consider that making the fire bigger.
Okay, how did he do that?
By allowing them to do things like serve warrants without a judge's signature, by defending them when they unalive citizens in states, even though the investigations of those unalivings are not being allowed to happen in the way that's supposed to happen legally when a federal law enforcement officer unalives a member of a state. Alex Preddy and Renee Good are direct neighbors of mine. They lived a few blocks away from me, and we in this neighborhood are really devastated that the state government wasn't allowed to do an independent investigation, which is what is supposed to happen when law enforcement unalives a person in a state jurisdiction. Why isn't that happening? Because people like Stephen Miller doesn't want it to happen. People like Kristi Noem didn't want it to happen. And Donald Trump, as president, supports that unconstitutional, unprecedented, and illegal approach to law enforcement. And I think that is a bigger problem for everybody who's living in this country, citizens and non-citizens alike, than the problem of illegal immigration in the first place. That is my position.
Is federal law trumping state law, yes or no?
According to the 10th Amendment, in a lot of circumstances, including this one, no.
Then I suppose that Minnesota should sue them and take it to the Supreme Court.
We are fucking working on it, buddy. They have already destroyed the evidence, so we won't get that back.
We have a check for it. Why are you excited about it?
Why am I excited about? Well, yeah, I'm excited about the fact that there's some things happening. We're talking about Donald Trump's performance, not how qualified Minnesota is to defend itself from illegal actions from the federal government. You are blaming the victim. The state of Minnesota here is the victim for not being given their right access to the crime scene and to the evidence. They are the victim of this thing I'm talking about the federal government doing. Why are you asking me about the performance of the victim instead of addressing the perpetrator the whole reason this came up is because we're talking about Donald Trump doing a bad thing. Can we talk about Donald Trump doing a bad thing instead of how well we're handling it here in Minnesota?
Oscar, do you have a remedy for it?
Impeachment.
No. You could sue him, right? That administration, and you could take it to the federal courts and they can rule on it. And if it is ruled in your favor, you're good.
How interesting. I spend lots of time talking to...
Wait, Oscar, I listened to you talk for an hour. If
You've been connected for 16 minutes.
In your favor, you're good. And then he can appeal. They can appeal.
It's still bad. Yes. If we win our legal case against these people, that would be good. Great. Fantastic. It's still bad.
Do we have a check for that? Oscar, does the Constitution provide a check for that?
Yeah, and that's not working because normally the check...
So stop. It's working.
But normally the check would be impeachment. But the reason there hasn't been an impeachment is because the Republicans in the legislative branch are loyal to Donald Trump.
President.
the representatives from the states are the people who...
The state of Minnesota cannot impeach the president.
Dude, I know you're flailing. I know that you're just trying to answer this stuff.
Show me how.
You're gish galloping. You're bringing up points before you're letting me respond to the previous thing that gets said. It makes the conversation hard to follow, and it doesn't make you look good.
Okay, keep going, word salad.
Okay, so there is a check, which is that we're supposed to impeach the president if he does these types of things. That check is not working because the Republicans are loyal to him instead of the Constitution, which they have shown over and over and over again. So no, the whole reason I run the show is because the checks aren't working. So you can say that the check is there on paper and that because it hasn't been executed, you're just asserting, therefore it must be working. It's like watching somebody murder somebody right in front of you and going, police officer, arrest him. And then they're like, and then they say no, and then somebody says to you, well, we have a check in place. You're supposed to go to prison for murder. Just because the murderer isn't in prison, therefore they're not a murderer. It's bad. It's a bad argument, and I've spoken to you before, and I know you know that. I know you just don't care.
What's the remedy for that, Oscar?
What's the remedy for what?
So you're saying that the Senate won't do it, right? What's the remedy for that?
People need to demonstrate to the people that represent them that they're fucking upset. Americans need to...
senators...
Listen.
Listen. How do the
Americans
senators get their jobs,
They
Oscar?
are voted in by the people, and I run this show to urge the people...
You're getting it here. They're voted in by the people, right? The people.
The people. Yeah, okay, what is it?
So, Oscar... If that's the senator sitting there, who picked that senator?
A bunch of brainwashed people who watch too much Fox News, dude. The people. Do you think this is a gotcha? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? I'm saying that
how our system works.
Yes, we've elected a bunch of people who aren't loyal to the Constitution.
Them.
That was very dumb of us.
Oscar, then do a better job of convincing the people.
I would argue I'm doing a pretty good job.
Is correct.
Dean Withers approved. What the fuck, dude?
Seriously,
yeah, we're working on it.
Oscar, do a better job. You need to get the people to come to your side and elect those people.
Okay, given that you recognize
That's how it works.
Are you, by recognizing that, conceding that it is in fact really terrible what Trump is doing? Because that's what we were talking about.
No. No, God, no.
Oh, God, no. Oh, couldn't possibly give up the thing I've given 10 years of my adult life to believe in. No, it would hurt my precious little feelings. Make a better argument than that, dude. Come on.
Have you ever voted for a Republican?
I don't think so. No. It's possible I have. I consider local elections pretty carefully.
That should tell you something.
I don't think it should. I think that's a pivot. It has nothing to do with what I said. I don't think that you've adequately addressed anything that I've said during this call. Chat, let us know. Has David made one good point on my show? If he has, say David has made a good point and tell us what that point is in the chat. If not, say the word no. And again, I think my audience wants you to make good points. We want to understand you. You're just moving on to the next thing before we address what we've already talked about. It's not very good radio, buddy. Let's see if we can find a yes. Let's see. Yeah, it isn't radio, but it's like radio. Similar skill set. Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Paid by sponsors.
I do. Let's read out some sponsors. Georgia sponsored me for $10 on Venmo. Georgia said, I've been telling Dean through donations to stop kicking R's who no longer support Trump and convince them to vote D in the midterms. Most are too dense to realize. To realize the only way to stop T is to pack Congress with Dems. That this will be all or nothing if they vote red. I agree. Yes, I don't like the establishment Democrats, but I do really think harm reduction voting in the midterms is really important. That's one of the reasons I run the show. Caitlin sent me $10 on Venmo to say, Minnesotans for the win. I'll be stopping in pretty much every day for this stream because I love your energy. Much love from an omnisexual woman, vet tech, who also loves the Scandinavian representation with your name. Google it, buddy. The internet exists for people like you.
I'm gay. Caitlin, I don't know this one. Omnisexual. What the fuck is that?
I think that means that they don't consider any sort of gender or anything when it comes to their sexual preferences.
Damn. Okay.
I don't know. That's funny. Isn't that pansexual? I don't know. I don't know all the nuanced terms necessarily.
That means they can't make up their mind. They can't make up their mind.
I don't know, man. I think we all make up our mind about an individual person, and some of us have patterns. Like when I make up my mind about whether or not I want to have sex with somebody, it's you. It's almost always
do anything.
Well, it's almost always a woman that I want to have sex with.
Or you can't make up your mind.
What are we talking about? What is this? What's happening on my show?
Omnisexual.
David, are you hitting on me?
No, God no.
Good. Can we talk about Trump?
Couldn't stand being with you. Fuck.
You've been with me for 21 minutes. Why aren't you leaving?
I know, but if you were my partner, I would have to. Oh my God, it would be awful.
Finish the sentence. You'd have to what?
It would be awful.
What would you have to do? What would you have to do?
I would have to put a ball gag in your mouth 24 hours a day.
Would you ask consent first?
No.
Ooh. So you would rape me?
No, I'll just do that. So you couldn't speak.
You into BDSM, David? What's going on here?
No, I just didn't want to hear your voice. That's all.
Why'd you call into my show? That's a very silly thing for you to say on my show, that you don't want to hear my voice.
I was just trying to get a big dose of word salad.
You want to break out the baritone? You want to break out the Johnny Cash? Is that better for you, David?
What's wrong with you right now?
I don't know. You didn't like the sound of my voice. Do you want me to use the buttery voice that it would be exhausting for me to use for the entire show?
Could you?
Sure. We've only got a few minutes left. Do you want to talk about Trump?
Yeah, he's evil and racist. I know, and he's a fascist. I got it.
It is correct that he's evil and racist and fascist.
He meets all the points.
Yes, I agree.
The 14 points of fascism. Now let's talk about something else.
He does meet all 14 points of the 14 points. Lawrence Britt was onto something with that list, in my opinion. I think it's a good list. I think if your president meets all the items on the 14
I already said
14
yes.
points of fascism, that's very bad.
I already said yes. I don't need your big word salad. Okay? I said yes. Take the W. Yes.
Never mind the baby bottles. Can we get? Never mind the baby bottles. Is there a lotion emoji? Can we get some lotion bottles for David?
Socialist?
In the American political context, I identify as a democratic socialist. In a philosophical sense, I identify as a social democrat. They're slightly different.
All right. So, are you a Mandani supporter?
I am.
All right. So, you agree with what his girl, this woman that he put in charge of the housing, you agree with what she says?
I'm unfamiliar with that.
Her name's C something.
Okay.
I'll get it.
I know Mom Downey's doing some good work for housing. That was one of his campaign positions. I wish him luck on that, but I'm not educated on specifically how he's handling it. I don't really think that's all that interesting, and it's not really what we're here on the show to talk about.
Well, she doesn't think landlords should own houses.
Yeah, I think that we need to have some restriction in place that make it harder for large companies to make housing difficult for people who live in places. I think that's one of the ways in which social democrats philosophically and democratic socialists politically in America want to strip power away from the capitalists. I agree with the communists on that, but I'm not as extreme as the communists.
She doesn't think there should be landlords.
I might disagree with her on that for now.
What? Well, she's a democratic socialist, so what do you disagree about?
I'm sorry, are you a Republican?
I am.
So you agree with everything?
No, actually, I'm not. I'm an independent. Actually, to be honest with you, I'm a registered Democrat.
Whichever you pick.
And I'm actually an independent.
David, whichever you pick, I'm going to ask the same question, which is, do you agree with everything that everybody who uses that label says? I am a democratic socialist in American politics.
No, I don't
necessarily agree with everything that every democratic socialist says. Do you recognize that was a silly argument that you just made?
Well, I'm an independent, so do I agree with everything? No.
Do you agree with every independent?
Oscar, can I pick the other side?
Specifically, what I'm responding to is that you say I'm disagreeing with this person.
Can you pick the other side?
I think we're getting lost.
You can't. You can't.
I'm sorry. What's your question?
Can you vote for a Republican?
I could, yes.
Have you ever?
No.
Okay, why not?
I've never felt like they were the better choice.
Okay.
I can imagine a Democrat so terrible that a Republican would be the better choice. And if I was presented with that opportunity, I'd like to think I'd choose the Republican if they were the lesser of two evils. I haven't been presented with that option on the ballot in the places that I've lived during the time I've had voting privileges, which is about 12 years.
Okay, so in 12 years, you've always been Trump. That's all it's had. You haven't had anybody else, right? So for 12 years, you've had TDS. So let's say that...
TDS again. We're going to keep accusing me of having a mental disorder that I don't think exists.
I didn't say TDS was a mental disorder.
What is it?
Who said that? Who said it was a mental disorder?
It's a syndrome.
Who said it was a syndrome?
I'm asking you what it is.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah, you don't like Trump, right?
I don't like Trump.
It's not like you could take him or leave him. You just don't like him.
Do you like dog shit?
Well, there's my point.
Do you like dog shit?
Seriously, I could take it or leave it.
Do you like dog shit?
Did I like Biden? I could take him or leave him.
Do you like dog shit?
Did I like Obama? I could take him or leave him.
Do you like dog shit?
You're not showing your elitism here.
Do you like dog shit?
You're not showing your elitism.
Do you like dog shit?
Okay.
Do you like dog shit?
I thought you guys were supposed to be highly educated.
Do you like dog shit? Yes or no?
Are you highly educated? Yes or no?
I'm gonna drop the fucking act, and we're also gonna kick David because he sucks.
Yeah, let's kick.
Yeah, I was gonna say that if he doesn't like dog shit, that he probably has dog shit derangement syndrome, but he just couldn't answer the question. No, I don't like dog shit, because he saw where it was going. He knows that I was going to say that that's Trump derangement syndrome. That's the show, everybody. Is it the show? That's technically under 2 hours because I had 5 minutes of crap at the beginning that's going to get edited out. Thanks, everybody. Oh my God, the queue is so full. I can't run long today, though. I have a gig tonight. Not happening. I got to get to editing. So I'm going to hang out a couple minutes and talk to the chat. But that is going to be mostly the show for the day. If you enjoyed the show, you can go to the link tree in my bio and follow me on the other platforms. Follow Oskar Quentin 2 down here on TikTok. Click on it. Follow it. That's the backup account for when I get banned. If you want to send me money, you can do that just like Adam did. He sent me $2 on Venmo to say what? He said, I love how blunt you are with these people. I'm out of patience with taking the high road with MAGA myself. Yeah, I choose the road based on, the journey that presents itself. And I think with David, it was a pretty low road, and he wanted me to do it with my low voice. I hope I got him nice and hard with that. Man, I should sing some Johnny Cash after I get off of here. Any more super chats? Nope, I don't think so. Thanks everybody. Thanks all the new viewers. W Dean for all the exposure. I know a lot of people are watching. We broke all the viewership records today, obviously. So W Mods for helping keeping the show running, keeping me on task and all that stuff. Seriously, appreciate you guys. I'm live 10 to 12 Central Time every day. TikTok live, YouTube, also YouTube, 7 p.m. Sunday. That's the evening show. We're working on getting the guest announced for that, but I've got some ideas. Just got to figure out scheduling. And the members only chat for the people who pay $5 a month anywhere on any of the 4 platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. That's going to be Sunday evenings usually, but probably maybe randomly at some other times, just to make sure that I do it at a time that everybody can enjoy. So thanks everybody. I'm very, 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 very excited about how this is going for me, and it's because of people like you and the mods and all that. Yeah, incredible. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow. Goodbye, TikTok. And goodbye, YouTube.